Thursday night motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, and where else but the Red Bull Ring for the start of Spreyton Siders Thursday night motorsport, and an open throttle horsepower heaven slipstreaming saviour for Spreyton Cider Formula V. This is going to be absolutely phenomenal from first until last. Yes, we're lacking a few numbers on the grid tonight, but these things bunched up around here where there aren't too many corners to deal with, and there's a lot of long straights on the agenda. That has whet the appetite just nicely for the first leg of the doubleheader tonight. 3 races ahead of us there. And then, of course, we get stuck into the Porsche Cup. And the fourth round thereof, the first of the 60-minute races of the campaign. And that will be well worth sticking around for, because that's also from Horsepower Heaven, but in North America. Yes, we're continent hopping tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The famed Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin circuit known as Road America. Hello, everyone. I'm Zach Caban. Daniel Correa-Sars here alongside me in co-commentary. Welcome to Thursday Night Motorsport, night 4 of week 4 of term 1 for 2024. Geez, I got that right. Rolling it off the tongue first up tonight. I cocked it up on Monday night. Welcome. There's the lay of the land. We'll update you on the weather and track information in just a moment in terms of that little right-hand side of your screen totem pole. We'll get that back up when the cars are on the grid. But there's the circuit information for you. It's 4.3 kilometres, 37 degrees the track temp at the moment, 22 the ambient. We are on May 2, 2024, so we've actually fast-forwarded the clock nearly 2.5 months. 4.28 kilometres, 9 turns. We know it as the home of the Austrian Formula 1 Grand Prix, 19% humidity, 3 km/h winds. And as far as the championship standings and table and ladder and whatever else you want to bloody well call it is concerned, there's the lay of the land there. Adam Lavis on top at the moment. I've missed the last 2 weeks and devastated to have done so, because Thursday Night Motorsport, and particularly the main course thereof, with no disrespect to the Porsche Cup, is my favourite within the club's offerings. Adam Lavis finally drew some luck in Formula V. Let's hope it doesn't run out upon my return, or otherwise he'll insist that I have a few more Thursday nights off. 216 points, 40 clear of both Tony Baker and John Merritt. 163 points for Phil King. Sam Chapman on 142, Pete Matson 140, and Cade Donnelly 139 make up the top 7 in the standings. Kevin Henderson, Brendan Neal on Aiden Schultz, the top 10. Small grid tonight, but we'll get them on the grid to have a look at where they're starting for you in just a moment. No surprise to see John Merritt at the top end of the tree. Adam Proctor's there alongside him, Sean McKenzie, Kevin Henderson the second row, Adam Lavis and Brendan Neal on the third row. Then, of course, trucker Joe Baldwin, a welcome return to the grid there on the fourth row. The inside, of course, the outside thereof is Philip Butler. Phil King and Matt Schmidt make up the top 10. Behind that, Daniel Piper, Wayne Vizera, row 6. Row 7's Chris Stark and Josh Thomas. Row 8, Jordan Ferguson and Adam Ambos and John from the Warbundry Hotel. Nice to have him on board once more. Then Sam Chapman and Dane Nofter make up the 9th row. Jaden Green, Colin Bennett, Stephen Heaton make up the field. So 21, but we're going for quality over quantity tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a big believer of it. 11:25 a.m. in the morning. Missed the other information there for you. If Daniel can bring that back up for us, just have a look at the circuit conditions. 42 there, and 3 km/h winds, 18% humidity, 23 the ambient, 38 on track. So we're ready to rock and roll. Don't forget, 4-race program tonight, slightly later finish than usual with the Porsche Cup running for 60 minutes, not least, of course, the fact that with the overlap from qualifying, the race probably won't get underway until 9:05 instead of 9 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Ready to go. 3 races here. We know the structure. We know the format. It'll be a 5-lap sprint first up, I would dare say, for race 1. If we sneak a 6th in, there'll be a tremendous chunk of overtime played. And then, of course, we get stuck into 2 more races after that, but we up the clock to 15 minutes. We invert the top 10 for the second grid as well. Let's rock and roll. Racing Thursday Night Motorsport for Spreyton Siders on the platforms for Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. Hello to Pete Matson, who's in New Zealand at the moment, watching on far later into the evening than what he would be if he was stuck here in the slow and steady, sleepy state of Queensland. Through turn 1 we go. Good start, clean start. That's what we like to see in Spreyton Cider Formula V. A full field of 21 as well took the green flag. Adam St. John has dropped down to the final spot in the running order. He's lost 5 spots. Everybody else is looking pretty fiery and racy early in the piece. Chris Stark off the road, but it was only on the outside of that ripple strip on the run down to turn 3 there. So he's okay for the time being. We'll look at the start from John Merritt. He's bolted, gone. See you later. Now, it can work for you and against you in so many different ways in Formula V. And by which I mean, keep an eye on this and how it plays out. I want you to watch that next pack of cars. Because if they work together, they'll push one another along. They'll reel John Merritt back to the pack. Normally, on a circuit not as wide open throttle as this, that 1.85 seconds would be looking pretty bloody good for Merritt right about now. Not the case. Michael Latta saying that he wishes he could be out there. We wish you could be too, mate. I hope you're well. And look at Adam Proctor up there squeezing through the ripple strip on the other side of Sean McKenzie. Trouble at the back. We've got a couple of cars off the road. We've got Sam Chapman up 9 spots already up into 8, and he's pushing hot on the heels of Brendan Nealon and Kevin Henderson. He's that next pack of cars coming through there. Behind Brendan Nealon is Sam Chapman. He's bringing Chris Stark, Matt Schmidtke, Wayne Visser, Jordan Thomas, and Jordan Ferguson along with him. The rest of the pack, forget about them. They're gone so early in the race. 1 lap gone, 2 minutes, 0.648 for John Merritt. And you know what? Qualifying pace was sub 2 minutes. So if they do that, we'll get back to the line in the final 10 seconds of play. And then we will go around for lap number 6. We'll only get 8 laps in the next 2 races because at 2 minutes a lap, you're not going to shave enough time off to get back to the line before that 15-minute marker. So it'll be 8 by 2 and a little bit under 16 minutes of race time there. Invert, as I was trying to ramble through before they turned wheels in anger, a little bit less than we would have liked to have seen in terms of participants on the grid tonight. But as you're seeing there, Michael Latta, broken pin in the wheel and base, and you've got a budget for the repairs required or associated with that before he can get back on the grid. This caper, yes, a lot more affordable than real-world motorsport, but still expensive in its own right. Throughout the course of the night, we'll have updates too, ladies and gentlemen, from the women's test match, Australia against South Africa from the WACA ground in Perth, play continuing through until just after 9 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time tonight. Have a look at how wide they're running. Some people won't appreciate Formula V in the way in which these guys are. Now, that's interesting as well. So, got a fair bit to pick apart here in the next 2 minutes, and then we might actually call the race. Adam Lavis has broken clear of the pack. So too has Sean McKenzie. Sam Chapman up into 4th place. From 17th on the grid, Chapo's 4th. The top 3 have bolted, and Chapman's bringing the rest of the pack along, led by Joe Baldwin, Kevin Anderson, Adam Proctor, Brendan Nealon, Chris Stark, Wayne Visser. So it's a race in, 7 cars. From McKenzie to Chapman to Baldwin. So they've actually reeled McKenzie back in. Lavis has gone 2.2 up the road. And 3 seconds ahead of him is John Merritt, 158.027. We will see an invert of the top 10 finishing order here for the start of race 2. That usually brings with it some fireworks and a few undesired incidents. But nevertheless, it's all part of the fun of the fair and the drama and the excitement that we bring you here on a Thursday night. We're right on board with Adam Proctor now, boxed out of it, down 5 spots on where he started. Chapman up 13. They're the big movers and shakers of the night thus far. Colin Bennett also up 7 spots from 20th through to 13th. I haven't even really had a chance to introduce Daniel Correa yet, but we'll get to him very shortly. Have a chat about the last couple of Thursday nights. Whoa, round goes Chris Stark. Starkey's had a stack. Oh, more trouble! In the middle of the road! NASCAR style on Daytona 500 weekend. Henderson and McKenzie are in the wall. And that has just split the pack up completely. Daniel, good evening to you. That one we didn't exactly see coming. Oh, Hendo, he's just gone. These things don't like wheel banging. And he's run straight over the wheel of McKenzie and bang. McKenzie exit stage right and Henderson exit stage left.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate thing with open wheel. It's called catapulting. It's when the opposing force of the tyres meet each other. And, well, he landed it on all four, but I don't know how it goes in terms of potential damage. In any case, yeah, definitely not something we saw coming, but is something that can be common when everybody starts to fight in that pack, which is one of the good things, one of the bad things about Formula V racing. Is that they're narrow, they're small, and they're racy, but they're not crazy fast. So it tends to lead people into trying to bait things like 3 wide and 4 wide in spots that you wouldn't normally see in other types of series. So it's an unfortunate one there for Henderson. He has dropped down back to 10th place. But considering that the next sprint is a reverse top 10, maybe that'll work out for him in the next one.
Jaden Green has been in pit lane for a little while. He's already down a lap, has been on pit road for a minute and 20 seconds. Brendan Nealon in for the fast repair and out again. Sean McKenzie in for the same treatment. And those guys have returned to the circuit in 16th. And, well, it's going to be probably 19th for McKenzie unless he doesn't get back out there. In fact, he has... decided to stay on pit road for a little bit longer than Nealon, so it's more than a fast repair for McKenzie, and McKenzie will end up starting from 20th if he returns to the grid. Jaden Green 21st. So McKenzie's out of business for the moment. We're down to 19 on track. Nealon down in 17th, down 11 spots on where he started. Some big winners in all of that. So John Merritt, because the pack got caught squabbling instead of someone taking charge and saying, follow me, let's reel this bloke in, John Merritt's the beneficiary of that because he's got a 3.6 second advantage to Adam Lavis, who's 3 seconds clear of Sam Chapman. But it's Chapman with his hands full because as they come back towards the line, and I want to keep an eye on this and see if there's a white flag out this time for John Merritt. I don't think there will be. He'll get back just in time to get us to 6 laps instead of 5. Hello to Trent Lavis. Good evening to you. Gentlemen, that's a loosely used term around here. Now, that's a beautiful move from Joe Baldwin down on the inside of Sam Chapman to go into position number 3. Well done, Trucker. And there is John Merritt going round for what will be the penultimate lap because we got back to the line before the 8-minute marker. Merritt leads, but it's Chapman and the battle for third that we want to keep an eye on. And this was 8 deep a few minutes ago, but that incident that we have already replayed a couple of times is the reason why it's now a race in 4. Baldwin hung out to dry out of turn 1, still holding into 3rd place. He's got the momentum to keep Sam Chapman, Wayne Visser and Adam Proctor at bay. Visser and Proctor side by side. Good run from Wayne Visser thus far, up 6 spots. Chapman up 13. A post-Valentine's dinner. Only you would be able to get away with that, Trent Lavis. Well done. Reminds me of... Let me come back to that point. Oh, bang, bang. That was Proctor on Baldwin. Baldwin actually benefited from that because it gave him a little bit of forward momentum to get up on the inside of Chapman, whereas Proctor bogged it down, and him and Visser are out of that battle now. They're 1.1 behind Chapman and Baldwin. So we've now all of a sudden got two-car battles for 4th or 3rd and 5th here at this point. Oh! Take nothing away. Whoa, off goes Chapman. Off goes Chapman. Rallycross, Formula V style, through the kitty litter. Gathered it up, but now it's Baldwin on his own in 3rd. Is he about to be reeled back in by Chapman and the fast-finishing Proctor and Wayne Visser? We're about to find out. Let's go. One more time around, ladies and gentlemen. Thursday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. And this is only race 1 of 3 for Spreyton Cider Formula V. This is why we refer to this caper as the main course here. Each and every Thursday night, we finish it off with some Porsche racing for dessert. Take nothing away from the maestro of Formula V, though. John Merritt. Now, is that a checkered flag or is that a white flag? I couldn't see. That is a white flag. Excellent. Yes. White flag flies. We have got one to go. The angle of it got me second-guessing myself. I knew we had one to go, but it was just that I could have swore I was seeing double vision. Through turn 1. Great work from Chapman to get back down the inside of Baldwin. I thought he threw it away when he went down through the kitty litter a moment ago. Now Baldwin, choose a lane, boys. Find a dance partner. It's Wayne Visser that's been hung out to dry here, is it? No, he's the one that's in behind Chapman. We're riding on board with him. There goes Proctor down his inside with some sort of momentum. I didn't see that one coming because Visser had the slipstream ability, the strength from both Baldwin and Chapman, and it was Proctor flying solo down the inside. Now it's Proctor to the outside, Chapman in the middle, Visser back down the inside, and Baldwin in breathing space. 3 wide, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Something's got to give down here, surely. Visser's got his nose in front of Proctor. 5th place for Wayne at the moment. Remember, top 10 invert here as soon as we're done for race 2, and we up the ante to 15 minutes as well, ladies and gentlemen. 8 laps instead of 6. Great work from Baldwin to hold 3rd for the moment. Visser's got his nose in front of Chapman, but Chapman's got the inside running. John Merritt's going to win this thing. Adam Lavis is going to extend his championship lead in 2nd. But what's going to happen in the battle for the minors? Baldwin's got Visser, Chapman and Proctor covered. Baldwin's going to be 3rd, provided he doesn't muck it up through the final 2 corners. Keep it on the black stuff, Joe. Visser, Chapman, Proctor. Watch Proctor in the slipstream if he can get the run onto the main straight. Chapman working on Visser. Chapman going for it down the inside into the second last corner. Chapman to 4th. Very nicely done. No, Visser it. Have a look at Proctor as well up there on the outside. Somehow Visser's making the outside work to his advantage. Watch Proctor on the inside. Merritt's got the job done. 2nd goes to Lavis. 3rd to Baldwin. Photos. Oh, Chapman got it over Visser and Proctor. Chapman got it over Visser by 1/100th. I thought Proctor would have had the run. And had the start and finish line been the same line, not the finish line about 100 metres behind the start line, I reckon Proctor would have got it. So, it's 4th for Chapman from 17th on the grid. It's 5th for Visser from 12th on the grid. And Adam Proctor, the unlucky loser in all of that, from 2nd down to 6th. But another last lap thriller, albeit not for the main positions, in Spreyton Cider Formula V on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. I'll come back to Trent Lavis's comments about Valentine's Day a little bit later on. I have so many people tuning in across Facebook, Twitch, and also YouTube. Predominantly YouTube, of course. Feel free to, like you do on Facebook, flick it a like as you're joining us, as Pete Matson suggested in the comments section there. John Merritt unstoppable. Another win for him. Adam Lavis keeping it clean and having a solid run, which is really good to see. What can those do for 5th row of the grid very shortly here? We'll wait and see. Quickly diving over to Perth and updating you on the test match. Australia 3 for 147 after being 3 for 15. In response to bowling South Africa out for 76. And South Africa were 8 for 55, I think it was, at lunch, which was quite extraordinary. And therefore, the Aussies lead by, well, that's 71 runs at the moment. So that match could be over well and truly before its scheduled conclusion on Sunday afternoon. Chris Stark and Colin Bennett, the front row for race 2. Jordan Ferguson and Matt Schmidtke, Adam Proctor, Wayne Visser, Sam Chapman, Joe Baldwin, Adam Lavis and John Merritt, the first 5 rows on the grid for race 2. Remember, invert top 10 here. Phil King, Kevin Henderson, Josh Thomas, Daniel Piper, Philip Butler, Brendan Nealon, Dane Noftif, and Adam Ambo St. John make up the first 9 rows on the grid. Just behind that, Stephen Heaton and Sean McKenzie. Jaden Green has failed to grace us with his presence. Ready to fire. Watch McKenzie trying to fight back from 20th on the grid here to set himself up for a crack in race 3. They're away. And hold your breath, because this is where it gets interesting. This is where it gets interesting. The invert of the field, who can make it work to their advantage and who can avoid getting caught up in trouble on their way through. It's a clean start. Matt Schmidtke up 2 spots. There is a spinner at the back.
That's Dane Northruff.
It is Dane Noftif.
Yep.
Dane's unfortunately going to be having a very lonely race here, one would imagine. Whoa! Have a look at that mid-pack scrap as well. 2 or 3 cars just struggling to find a little bit of breathing space and clear air at the moment. Lunge down the inside. Oh, it's got into the side.
Oh, everybody's been hit in there.
Yep. unfortunately, we'll have another look at that. We'll get a replay because Merritt's initial contact wasn't with the car that spun. Watch this. So Merritt's got into the side of the 8th placed car, and it's Kevin. I think Hendo's locked it up and looped it on his own and collected Merritt on the way through. Let's ride on board with Hendo if we can, please, Dan. Wayne Vizzer's off the road just quietly. We'll get back to that in a sec. Hendo up the outside. I don't think there's contact here from John Merritt. There is on the follow-through. But Merritt's initial contact, which walked the pack, backed everyone up, was... Yeah. Have a look at this again. There's the contact there.
Oh, it
car
is,
to
yeah.
car.
So
And
Merritt
the second bit
across.
of contact is Hendo trying to get round the outside. But I don't know whether Hendo didn't leave himself enough room or Merritt's moved across in light of the contact, whether that momentum's bumped him from behind, has bumped him. Oh! Round goes Chris Stark! On the approach to the start-finish line. Starkey was running beautifully until this. And all on his lonesome. Out in the weeds, out in the marbles. And Formula V, contrary to popular belief, they don't drift well. Chapman and Proctor have found their way to the front. Schmidtke, Ferguson, Lavis, and Bennett in close tow. The trouble down the back. Wayne Vizzer's on pit road. Stephen Heaton's a distant 19th at the moment. Dane Nofter has fought his way back to 17th, just behind Kevin Henderson and Chris Stark. So Hendo, with being turned around at that very corner, at the top of the hill at turn 3, has unfortunately dropped well down the order. Joe Baldwin's outside the top 10 as well in 14th. John Merritt's fighting his way back through, but he's 2.7 off the lead pack of 6, which is now lead pack of 4 because Jordan Ferguson and Colin Bennett have dropped off it. And Bennett has gone through on the inside of Ferguson. Oh, I told you it'd be interesting. I told you it'd be good. And once again, Spreyton side of Thursday Night Motorsport produces the goods. Down the inside, Schmidtke to 3rd. Looking to go to 2nd on the inside of Proctor. Proctor hangs tough around the outside. Might be able to benefit from a tow with a tow from Chapman. No, can't do it. They're going to continue to run side by side. Pete Matson reckons Adam Lavis has got this in the bag. He's sitting pretty at the moment. He's sitting patiently there in 4th. All over the back of them. Coming around onto the main straight. We're right on board with him now. How good. Main straight. 6 laps to go. The consolation race to set us up for the feature, which is no extension of length. It's just a progressive grid. You start this one, the next one, where you finish this one. It's good.
Well, some really good speed by Lavis there going through turn 1 on the inside, but I think he might be thinking 10 minutes ahead, because I don't think with the field as it is right now, if you take into consideration the front 4 cars here, so Adam Proctor, of course, 1.9 seconds behind Sam Chapman there. So these 3 here on your screen really need to think about working together. Try not to fight hard, because that way they can catch up to Sam Chapman, and then it'll be a 4-way fight rather than a 3-way fight. So I think Lavis has that in the back of his mind, and hopefully so do Adam and Matt, because with how close they are, leading is not the ideal strategy here.
No, Lavis down the inside wants to lead this battle pack and lead from the front of it and begin the chase of Sam Chapman. So Lavis to 2nd, Proctor 3rd, Schmidtke 4th, having a good run. As far as positions gained are concerned, the car in 5th is Sean McKenzie from 20th on the grid. No doubt assisted by the incident at turn 3, Chris Stark's spin as well. John Merritt's coming through with McKenzie at the moment, so they are 5th and 6th. Thomas and Ferguson in behind them. So a 4-way fight at the top of the order as Lavis and Proctor and Schmidtke try and work together to reel in Chapman. Whether they can do that or not remains to be seen. It's 1.6 seconds at the moment. and it's holding steady. And then it's a four-way fight. In fact, 6 cars in behind that because Butler and Bennett have tagged onto the back of Ferguson and Thomas. And it's 3 for 162 at the Wacker for those of you tuning in now as well, wondering how the cricket's going. Women's Test continues on 7, mate, and Fox Cricket. 4 wide in behind these guys. But look at that. 4 wide down the main straight. Merritt wants a piece of this on the inside of Mackenzie. And Thomas, Ferguson, Butler and Bennett. Someone has to yield on the run to turn 1. Thankfully. Oh, no. Trouble. Big shunt. Bennett into Butler. And they drop down the order. Joe Baldwin comes through back into 12th place. That was a huge shunt. It was brewing. 4 cars into 1 was never going to go, and as they tried to back out of it, unfortunately, Bennett didn't hit the brakes as quickly as he might have needed to. There'll be a little bit of work for race control to do out of this one, I think, Daniel Correa-Sarr, and I stress that because we can only show you provisional results on the screen. At the end of this race, there will be a couple of incidents probably needing post-race investigation, and if that is the case, I hope they've got a stiff drink nearby to enjoy whilst they're doing that. Sam Chapman, Adam Lavis, Matt Schmidtke, Adam Proctor, then Josh Thomas under pressure and now being passed by John Merritt as well. Merritt goes through. Chapman's lead is out to 2.8 seconds, so Adam Lavis need only sit pretty here and set himself up for a crack in race 3, I think, at this point, just to focus on defending Schmidtke and Proctor, because he's not going to catch Sam Chapman. Yes, there's still 4 laps to go, but good luck. Not going to happen. Stranger things have happened in Formula V if Chapman has a spin or whatever the case may be, but 2.98 seconds is as good as the length of Conrod Straight in a GT race. Oh, wait, funnily enough, there's one coming up this weekend. And good luck to everyone at Mount Panorama for the Bathurst 12 Hour over the course of the next 3 days. You can watch it on 7 across 7, 2, 7, mate, 7 and 7 plus, and you can also watch it on Fox Sports across the course of the weekend. And for the first time, practice sessions are going to be broadcast live via Bathurst 12 Hour social media channels as well. So plenty of reasons to stay glued to the couch this weekend and have the esky fully stacked nearby. Chapman, Lavis, Proctor and Schmidtke side by side. Proctor to third down the inside. Merritt's got Mackenzie and Thomas for company, and also Ferguson. Piper's marched up into 9th place, just ahead of Brendan Nealon. Then King, Baldwin, Stark under pressure from Butler and Bennett, and then Henderson, Noftif and Ambo, with Wayne Visser and Stephen Heaton at the tail of the field. Dane Noftif now on the tow rope. Everybody else still running. Everybody else still going strong. We're down to 19.
Just having a look at the last running lap times, and something is definitely going on with cars 2, 3, and 4, because Sam Chapman did a 158.1 and Adam Lavis did a 159.49. That is a big difference in lap time. So at the current pace, there is no way that Adam will be able to catch Chapman at the front. So as you said earlier, Zach, he will have to sit pretty in P2 and just focus on the defense to hope that Proctor won't take that position from him, or Schmidtke for that matter. But having said that, Schmidtke as of right now is 1.9 seconds back, so he's obviously had a slip and slowly drifting away from that battle pack.
And Stark's off the road as well, down rejoining in 16th position. Breaking news from the WAC. Beth Mooney's gone for 78 off 109 balls. South Africa finally have the breakthrough after a 150-run partnership, 4 for 167. But it's still a lead of 91 runs for the Australians at this point in time. And Josh Thomas, this was him being passed by John Merritt, I think you'll find. No, him getting by John Merritt, I should say. Down onto the main straight. Lap 6 underway. Chapman the leader. 158.076, the best time so far. Merritt back down the inside once P5 gets it. Mackenzie's in there as well. Similar to the previous race, I think our last lap thrill is going to come from outside the podium finishing positions. And don't forget, on the subject of last lap thrillers, NASCAR Daytona Duels kick off a big weekend of motorsport tomorrow morning on Fox Sports around Australia, and they're showing Shane Van Gisbergen's Xfinity Series debut race as well. So keep an eye out for that Sunday morning whilst you're watching the 12 Hour. Weekend, very little sleep ahead of us here, I would imagine. And of course, the Daytona 500 Monday morning, 5:30 Eastern Daylight Time, ahead of a green flag just after 6:30. Plenty to be excited about. Now, we haven't been on air either since the updates to, the update drop, the news update, that is, from iRacing this week. The rain server will be here for Season 2 in selected formats of racing. So we'll have a chat to everybody about that at the end of the night and see what their thoughts are, their initial thoughts are. We are very excited about the prospect of what that will do to the service and the entire sim racing world, in terms of how it just reinvents the wheel and creates a little bit more interest and mystery and drama. It'll be fantastic. Now we're on lap 6. Chapman, Lavis, Proctor, Merritt holding on to 5th at the moment. Thomas to the outside, Mackenzie in behind them, Brendan Neal on his 8th, Jordan Ferguson, Daniel Piper make up the top 10. 2 laps to go for Sam Chapman. And interesting as well, Daniel, the 2 Adams have dropped Matt Schmidtke. So Schmidtke's running a very lonesome 4th. As we watch Merritt, Thomas and Mackenzie duke it out.
Yeah, something must have happened to Schmidtke. I'm not sure what exactly that would be. There is no incident report there coming up for Schmidtke, but his last lap time was a 59.3. So clearly he is on the slower end and dropped back now almost to 3 seconds. So it is truly a fight for second, and it seems as though Schmidtke will take P4. He's got a 6-second gap to Joshua Thomas, who is on your screen right now. And so, it looks like Sam Chapman's got this one in the bag, unless, of course, we see a monumental mistake from him at the front. But the true fight will be Adam Lavis and Adam Proctor. And this is becoming a massive occurrence, because Adam Proctor is making a habit of bridesmaid but never the bride. And so I would not doubt that he is going to try and make this a millimetre fight at the finish line, as he does in almost every other Formula V race.
Indeed. All right. Thomas, Mackenzie, Merritt. Can Merritt find his way back to 5th place? We're about to find out. It has been tamer than usual to this point, this second race. In round 4, Spreyton Siders Formula V. The platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club and Thursday Night Motorsport. Mackenzie firing it down the inside to go to P5. So Mackenzie, Thomas and Merritt is the battle we're watching. We'll watch this to the checkered flag, I would dare say. Although Proctor and Lavis are worth checking back in on at some point as well. Look at Merritt through the middle, if you don't mind, as they come over the start-finish line to get the white flag. Mackenzie went wide. And also we saw Josh Thomas trying to fire it down the inside, but he left enough room for John Merritt to wiggle his way through, and Merritt's gone to P5 at turn 1. That is astonishing stuff, but unexpected class from John Merritt. You've got to know your racecraft in this caper. You've got to ride your luck occasionally on that. In that instance, John Merritt did both. Josh Thomas back to 7th. Back up the outside of Merritt on the run to turn 3. Merritt trying to get down the inside of Mackenzie, can't do it. Schmidtke's a solid 4th and a lonely 4th. Proctor's all over the back of Lavis, but we stick with Josh Thomas. He's got the best seat in the house at the moment. It's John Merritt on the There's Piggy in the middle, if you don't mind, if you've got Sean Mackenzie ahead of you and Josh Thomas behind you. Two seriously good operators in their own right, but Merritt is the master of Formula V. We said it earlier in the piece. Thomas sliding, skidding through the bottom of the circuit. It's given Merritt a little bit of breathing space behind him. He's all over the back of Sean Mackenzie like a cheap suit at the front. Now, Mackenzie rides these things in the real world. He knows how they operate, how they rock and roll. Mackenzie outskilled Merritt here in the run to the line. Chapman's heading towards the last corner. Lavis is still under pressure from Proctor. Merritt all over the back of McKenzie, trying to go up the outside. Now the inside, looking for a way through to go to P5. McKenzie can't keep him out any longer. Merritt to the inside, Merritt to P5. Chapman's the race winner. 2 race winners so far tonight. We're on track for the hat-trick. Down the outside goes McKenzie. Merritt diving down the inside, sliding through. Josh Thomas! 2 for the price of 1. Drag race with John Merritt to the line. Merritt and Thomas. Merritt! Thomas and McKenzie. Quarter of a second between them. Doesn't get any better than that. And that was only the battle for 5th. That's why we love Thursday Night Motorsport, and that's why we love Formula V. Have a look at this again. Magnificent stuff. McKenzie got hung out to dry. Merritt slid through. Thomas rode the ripple strip, fired it down the inside. There was definite contact between those 2 cars. Wheel banging to the line. How they didn't end up in the wall is a miracle. And Merritt, by the skin of his teeth, 0.04 of a second. Magnificent. And that, again, I stress, was just for 5th. Chapman from Lavis, Proctor, Schmidtke the top 4. Merritt, Thomas, McKenzie, Nealon, Piper and Ferguson made up the top 10. And the last of the finishers making his way through there is Wayne Visser in 18th. And Stephen Heaton actually still to come over in 19th. I apologise. Got caught out by my own sentence structure there. They make up the field, the running order at the end of 8 laps. So Noftif was the retirement. But what about that?
That's an incredible showing for Josh Thomas. He bowed his time and they came down to that final run. John Merritt was fighting Sean McKenzie there, and Thomas just saw that inside line and thought, I'm going to take that. And by God, did he take that.
He did.
He's
Absolutely.
unlucky simply because there was a little bit of contact there. Now, look, no harm, no foul. Neither of them spun out or had any damage to my knowledge. I didn't see anything pop up on the screen there. And as you can see there, by the results, John Merritt did manage to squeeze over the line just from there. But I don't think either of them are going to have any problem with that, because that is what we love about Formula V. That is the close racing that we come here every Thursday night to watch. And boy, I'm keen for the next one.
And that is exactly why I was disappointed to be missing the last 2 weeks worth of it, because I'm reliably informed that it's been as good as that, and I'm not even surprised in the slightest. Unfortunately, there are a couple of more Thursday nights I've got to miss throughout the course of the season with respective real-world commitments requiring travel and a fair amount of it, but I'll be here as many as I can be. Chapman, Lavis, Proctor, Schmidtke and Merritt the top 5. We've got Joe Baldwin, we've got Chris Stark standing by. I'll get to Stark in a tick. Joe, seas parted for you just nicely in race 1, but unfortunately got caught up in the garbage in race 2.
Yeah, I just went and had a look at it. I actually got clipped by Josh and Brendan Nealon when whoever it was there spun in front of me in the black car. And the double hit to they both hit the left rear, it bent it, and after that I just had no pace. I was nearly 2 seconds a lap slower than I was in race 1, so it was all right through the corners, but it just had no straight line pace, so you just can't. It's like trying to drive with 2 hands tied behind your back as far as results go. But I was pretty happy with race 1. There was an incident, I think, into lap 2 maybe. I don't think Kev Henderson knew I was on the outside at turn 1, and I had to go wide to avoid contact. I might get a wrap over the knuckles for that one, so we'll see whether or not third in race 2 is tentative or whether or not I'll get away with it. I was just trying to avoid contact. I didn't want contact. It wasn't going off track to try and gain an advantage. It was more just to avoid an incident, but it was a good race nonetheless.
Let's quickly get a comment from Chris Stark before we let you go. Joe, good luck in race 3. I am going to let you go because cars are lining up on the grid. Starky,
thanks, mate.
You were leading that one, but unfortunately, drift and Formula V aren't commonplace.
Zach, this will make you laugh. I put a new GPU in today and I thought, well, my PC's off, I'll pull my sim apart and give it a clean. I actually forgot to retighten my pedal players. So when I hit the pedal, the accelerator, they fired off the front of the sim. So I was sitting half in my seat, half on the floor trying to drive.
Oh, dear. That'll do me.
dumb
Sim
things.
Racing 101, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic. Dot the I's and cross the T's, unlike Chris Stark. Hey, mate, better luck in race 3.
It's been my whole season. Thanks, Zach.
All right, mate. Got to let you go because cars are lining up on the grid here. Chapman, Lavis, Proctor, Schmidtke, Merritt. What a top 5 that is. Thomas, McKenzie, Nealon, Piper and Ferguson make up the top 5 rows on the grid. We're not going to get any further than that because they're not going to muck around. Lights out, away we go. Thanks for coming. See you later. The run down towards turn 1. Lavis has got the jump. Adam Lavis wants to lead this one from the front. Chapman forces the issue on the outside, gets the better run out of turn 1 and restores order. Look at John Merritt lurking as well, right there. Tailgating Adam Lavis. Looking for the gap through the middle as well, if you don't mind, and found it. Found the gap. Matt Schmidtke opened the door. Chapman's got no choice because he got Merritt firing down his inside, and John Merritt goes from 5th to 1st in the first sector. Chapman 3rd, Schmidtke 4th, Proctor boxed out of it in 5th. We're riding on board with him at the moment. Thomas is up there on his outside. Gap back to McKenzie and everybody else. Now the gamesmanship gets underway. Have a look at that. What a start from John Merritt. That's why he is the master of this craft. Ferguson off, Piper off as well. Trouble at the bottom of the back straight there. They drop right down to the bottom of the field. 19th and 20th. Starkey's made a good start up 3 spots up into 12th rather from 15th on the grid. Oh, nose to tail. All right. We regroup. We reconvene. We go again. Porsches are going to have to be good to top this, Daniel. Porsches are going to have to be good to top this.
Tell you what, Norm, hold your breath.
Challenge accepted.
I know you've been away a couple of weeks, but the Porsche Cup has been spicy, to use a millennial term. It has been really heating up, and it is amazing to see, but that's later. We've still got 15 minutes of Formula V, so let's just all absorb it in and watch as these guys leave absolutely nothing a chance. As they come down into turn 1, you've still got more than 13 minutes left, and they go off.
Off they go. That was Josh Thomas and Adam Proctor. Proctor's got away with that one better than Thomas. Lavis caught up in that because he's got Nealon down his inside. And that's the first time we've seen Adam Lavis suffer any real sort of misfortune tonight. Have a look at him now, sandwiched in there. Hold your breath yet again. They get down to,
He got away with it.
Oh,
He got away with it.
How did he get away with that?
Yeah, that's smart there from
That was
Brendan
front
Nealon.
left to rear right from Brendan Nealon on Adam Lavis.
Yeah, that was smart there from both of those guys. So Brendan Nealon, of course, took that inside line. Lavis maybe realised late that he had that V on the inside. And when they touched, Lavis immediately opened up that steering to the left, which meant that although he did slow down and lose time having to take that evasive action, he didn't spin. So he stays on the track and he's still there chasing down Joe Baldwin in the stealth livery, the Bailey stealth livery. And Brendan Nealon still lives another day. It doesn't look like either of them have damage. We'll see when it comes to the lap times as Sean McKenzie goes up on the inside of Kevin Henderson, and it looks like he makes it stick. Yes, he does. So Sean McKenzie into P8, and it looks like Proctor might just take another one from Hendo as they come down towards the penultimate corner.
So Merritt leads from Chapman. Chapman going with him. Schmidtke under pressure here from Baldwin and King. And further back, we've picked up Adam Proctor, Josh Thomas and Kevin Henderson duking it out. They're trying to latch back onto the back of Sean McKenzie now onto the main straight. McKenzie's trying to catch a toe from Brendan Nealon. That's Sam Chapman at 1:59.378. For some reason, the last 2 laps, neither of John Merritt's times have come up. So I'm assuming he's just riding his luck with a few off-track limits and indiscretions at iRacing's end as they make their way through turn 1 once more. Solid stuff this. Adam Lavis in 4th place. They're 2 seconds down on Matt Schmidtke. Schmidtke's 1.3 down on Chapman. Oh, Chapman passed Merritt for the lead as well. Chapman to the lead. Waiting to see it all blow up at the front end of the train as well. It wouldn't be the first time. Wouldn't be the first time.
Well, this is another thing too that they have to keep in mind. You look at that gap there. So the gap between Schmidtke and Merritt's only 1.2 seconds. The draft in these is quite powerful, so that is not out of reach. As long as Matt keeps his lines clean and steady, he'll be able to catch back up to that front pack, no problem. The issue here is that Lavis is 2 seconds back. Now that's a problem because he has to make sure he does the same. Otherwise, he will lose the front three, and the points that he gained in race 2 will be somewhat negated, having finishing back in fourth. He's definitely got the chance to finish better in this race. He just has to make sure that he keeps the goal very clear ahead of him and try not to fight too much with the cars behind. But look, I say this every time. These are race drivers. Teamwork is not necessarily in their vocabulary.
Not at all. It's a very much an individual game. On the track, teamwork off the track, but yes, on the track, very much every man for himself. Through they go. It's Merritt, it's Chapman, it's Schmidtke, it's Lavis, it's Nealon, King, McKenzie, Proctor, Thomas, and Henderson, the top 10. Trucker Joe's run out of luck. He's about 1.2 seconds down off Kevin Henderson at the moment. Wayne Visser, Chris Stark, Colin Bennett, and Dane Nofter follow in close pursuit. 1:58.021 for Sam Chapman. Thomas down the inside of Proctor. Thomas going to P8. And that's nicely done. So again, early race incident has spread this field out probably a little bit more than desired. No Jaden Green on the grid here. Jordan Ferguson opted to start from... no, he didn't start from pit lane, but he opted to come in and grab a fast repair at the end of lap 1. He's battling... he's down there in 18th, 19th place at the moment, and he's got a good gap on Stephen Heaton, but he's nowhere near anybody else on the racetrack unless someone else runs into an incident or a problem, mechanically or structurally. So we continue on here with Phil King at the moment in 7th place. Hendo, Thomas, Proctor, 9th and 10th, then Baldwin, Visser, Stark, Bennett and Nofter. And in behind that, I've got just enough time before hostilities resume and the gloves come off to let everybody know that it's 4 for 176 at the Wacker. So Australia lead by a neat 100. There are still 28 overs left in the day's play. Whether they'll get all of them in or not remains to be seen, considering that, yes, play is scheduled to conclude at, I think it's 9:30 or 10 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time this evening. John Merritt and Sam Chapman, Matt Schmidtke, Adam Lavis, and Brendan Nealon, Sean McKenzie, Phil King and Kevin Henderson. I will have the score at Stumps as soon as I can possibly get it to you after the Porsche race tonight, ladies and gentlemen. First day of a 4-day test match, but I get the feeling it's going to be over on day 3. There's Phil King down the inside of Sean McKenzie. Very nearly contact between the two cars. McKenzie sweeps around, maintains 6th place. So we've got 3 battles. We've got Merritt and Chapman. Chapman with the fastest lap of the race, 1:58.027, catching a toe from Merritt at the moment. Schmidtke, Lavis, Nealon, McKenzie, King, Henderson, the top 8. And as you can see here, the battles are raging across that racetrack. Nealon, McKenzie and King all hovering on Lavis's tail at the moment. And then this battle raging as well. Henderson, Proctor and Thomas. So a 4-car fight for 4th, a 3-car fight for 8th. And that takes us back to the edge of the top 10. Baldwin and Visser in behind. So John Merritt rode his luck, went from 5th to 1st on the opening lap. Everything else has been pretty standard procedure so far. Nothing to get terribly excited about or ride home about. But we're only on lap 5. There's another 3 more where this came from when they get back to the line.
Yeah, in terms of that front fight, I have a feeling that Sam Chapman actually might be biding his time. He's probably looked at the timing screen, seeing that there's only a handful of minutes to go as Kevin Henderson manages. Oh, he gets too close! No!
Gone! Thomas, gone! Proctor, gone! Night done for the pair of them as far as factoring in the outright results in the top 10 is concerned. Oh, no, and for Proctor, it's terminal. Proctor's in the wall and done, parked up on the tow rope. That's unfortunate. And that will be his chance to send Josh Thomas an invoice and say, this is what it costs to be towed.
Chris Stark
Proctor's on the tow rope and in pit lane. Starkey, well, we heard his troubles a few moments ago. Dotted the I's, didn't cross the T's, and he's set up this afternoon. Still a 4-car fight, 5-car fight actually for third place. Have a look at this. Adam Lavis now under the pump. 5 seconds back on Merritt and Chapman. Right, just going along, minding their own business at the front. So, but they've kind of ruined it for everybody else, right? We normally talk about when we've got Formula V, you know, the potential to have 3 different winners in as many races, and Porsches add to that as well, whether it's 4 or 5 in the night. We can get a maximum of 4 tonight, but now it's going to be a minimum of 3 because Chapman and Merritt, either one of them wins. They've already got a W in the column tonight. So, gone is the old caper sharing the love. It's Chapman and Merritt and Daylight.
There is one factor though, which we need to address, which is these two have tangled before, and it's gone pear-shaped for both. And so, considering it's the last race and things might get heated, they need to keep that in mind. Now, if that does happen, Adam Lavis will be praying once the car's pulled up, because for him to come back from a 4.5-second deficit would be amazing, considering he did lose out on a win at the mountain because of an incident like that, because he missed out on that gear shift and ended up stuck, which allowed, and I apologise, I can't remember the driver's name, but it allowed the other driver to sneak up on the inside and take the win from him. So we'll see how it goes. We still have 3 minutes or so left on the board. Sam Chapman is leading the race thus far. John Merritt is very, very close behind.
Indeed, that is the case. All right, we continue to rock and roll. 2 laps to go at the line. We keep our eyes peeled on the battles further beyond first and second. And if there's anything worth heading back to see, we will do so. Chapman, a mistake. Wide onto the main straight. Opens the door up. And John Merritt doesn't wait for a second invitation. He's bolted. He's gone. Yeah, Merritt, that's a slowdown for Chapman, I think.
That's exactly right. That was just about to say, that's a slowdown for Chapman, so that's a problem. He'll need to...
It's a long way back from there.
Yeah.
It's a long way back from there. We may not get our last lap thriller this time around. We've had 2 absolute belters so far, so we can't be too greedy. How nice to see Adam Lavis having a clean run as well. Solid stuff from the man affectionately known around here as Maverick. 23. Number 23 is Adam Lavis. And multiples of 23, you get to 46, 69. That's Trent Lavis's race number when he graces with his presence in the iRacing service. Oh, no, more trouble. So that's why the battle for the minors dissolved the way that it did spectacularly for Matt Schmidtke, for Sean McKenzie, and for Phil King. And that's elevated Joe Baldwin, Wayne Visser, and Phil King up into 6th, 7th, and well, Phil King's now back in 9th, but he didn't lose out as much as he would have expected to with that incident. The big beneficiaries out of it have been Joe Baldwin and Wayne Visser. Of that, there is no doubt. So one more time around, ladies and gentlemen. That'll be John Merritt and Sam Chapman. Chapman's only 0.6 of a second away. There is still an outside chance that he might be able to fight for the win here. It's only 0.6 of a second. It's not the 2 or 3 tenths that we would normally like it to be, and that we were normally associated or we're normally used to or familiar with seeing in Formula V. But nevertheless, it's 1 lap, and it's a duke out between 2 of the best in the business as far as Formula V is concerned. Chapo has been an improving performer for the last 12 months whenever we've had it on the server as part of the club series of championships on offer each and every term. Merritt is the old experienced hand. Yep, sure, Chapo runs into drama a few times here and there each season, but he's got the pace. And tonight, he's rode his luck on a couple of occasions. I don't know what the problem was in qualifying. We'll find out very shortly. To be able to weave your way through as cleanly as he has done and take a very comfortable win in race 2 and now go toe-to-toe with John Merritt in race 3, it's a very good night out for him. Merritt, on the other hand, yep, okay, he got it caught up in all the garbage at turn 3 at the start of race 2, but it's been smooth sailing apart from that. Now, with half a lap to go, the pair of them will potentially engage in battle here now that Chapman's been able to latch back onto his tail. Half a lap to go. Nothing in it. Whoa, Merritt, a little bit loose on the exit of the right-hander, and Chapman sweeps around the outside to take the lead. What a fight back that's been.
Yeah, but
John Merritt, I'm not sure what's going on there. And further back, Hendo and Nealon are off the road as well. Don't rule it out that Merritt might be able to overturn this, Daniel, and I think that's what you're about to say. It's Chapman and Merritt up the hill for the final time. This will be a huge test of Chapman's ability to defend. Or will it be another fine example of Merritt riding his luck, wedges it down the inside? Merritt to the lead with 2 corners to go. Can he hold it around the outside as they come back onto the main straight? This will be a drag race and a photo finish one way or another, folks. Merritt leads us onto the main straight. Chapman will have to pull out and have a lunge. He won't get there. John Merritt doubles up on a Thursday night. Spreyton side of Thursday night motorsport, Formula V style. How good was that? Lavis Baldwin Schmidtke with the fastest lap of the race. 1 minute 58.020. Visser just missed out on that with Schmidtke. That was a photo for 5th on your screen there, folks. Baldwin got to 4th, up 9 spots. Visser up 12. Schmidtke wedged in the middle. But Schmidtke very nearly lost 5th place to the hard-charging, fast-finishing Wayne Visser. Then Phil King and Sean McKenzie. A lot left to be desired there after they were caught up in incidents partway through the final race. Then Brendan Nealon, Kevin Henderson, Josh Thomas. Geez, tales of what might have been right throughout this field. Colin Bennett, Dane Knopf, then Adam Mambo, St. John, Daniel Piper, Philip Butler, Jordan Ferguson. And Stephen Heaton's going to round out this finishing order of 18 cars. Proctor a retirement, Starkey a retirement. They don't make 75% race distance, so therefore they're not classified. They needed another lap in the belt, but it wasn't to be. But John Merritt gets the job done again, much to Sam Chapman's dismay, but what a fight between 2 of the benchmarks in this series.
Yeah, it was, but I cannot shake the feeling that John did that semi on purpose. He knew
without doubt.
Yeah, that he knew that the draft would be really powerful on the back half and sector 3. And so I think he goaded that. He just slowed up a little bit on the inside. Sam Chapman took the bait, and that ended up working out. And I think Sam's realised that after the line. Now, of course, the potential for defence is there, but it's just incredibly difficult. And so an insurmountable task at the end there for Sam Chapman, but a very close race. 0.06 was the difference.
They either call it a sucker punch or a dummy. Take your pick. What John Merritt did just there, and just threw the bait. It was taken by Chapman, and the rest is history. Lured him in to the trap, and he was gullible enough to take it, but another photo finished side by side. Really good stuff. Exactly the sort of thing we often commonly associate with Formula V, exactly why we keep turning up on a Thursday night. And I don't really bloody well know why, ladies and gentlemen. The numbers here aren't any stronger than this, because the bigger the fields, the better the racing, I must say. Now, John Merritt stopped on by for a chat. So too has El Presidente Joe Baldwin. So too has Sam Chapman. And just 3 of the blokes that we wanted to talk to, as luck would have it. I'm going to start with you, Trucker. Nice reconnaissance mission there, mate. Really good hustle through the field. Brought some luck by virtue of a few others running into trouble. But that's what Formula V is all about.
Oh, they giveth and taketh away very quickly in the Vs. That was fun. Early on, I had a good start. I think I started 13th. And I actually had a really good jump in the Vs. For some reason, I can get off the line and pick cars off with the V. It's just, I don't know, it just works. But I think I got up to about 8th or 6th or something. But I had a slowdown at turn 1. And by the time I cleared it, I was back in like 13th again. So I had to drive back through, and then I got another one. So I had a couple of slowdowns in that race, and just threw guys getting tangled up, and I don't know any of the specifics behind. There was a couple of 2x2x2s over the last few laps there that gained us back up to have a good battle with Viz and Schmidtke for 4th. So, yeah, pretty happy with that overall.
As you should be, and that's the beautiful thing about Formula V. It's not all over if you fall foul of incident in one of the races. There's always ways to redeem yourself and salvage something out of the night. And the Red Bull Ring's a great circuit for these cars.
Oh, look, this is a great circuit. This would be great with the shopping trolley. I love this place. But it's... I'm sorry.
He says the same thing about Mount Panorama as well.
I do, funnily. There's a few tracks I enjoy, like Oran Park and the supercars earlier this week. I enjoy that place. Everybody's got their favourites, I suppose. It's ones that you practice the most and you enjoy the most. So, but no, it's one of those cars that, as we've seen there, I think there was 3 incidences involving 2 cars in the last 3 laps. So you've just got to be in it to win it. There's no point, dropping your lip and packing up bat and ball and old F4ing your way home. You just stay in it till the end and you can pick up a result. That was probably the perfect example. I was a long way off the leaders, but I still got the result at the end of the day.
Indeed you did. I'm not sure you're sticking around tonight, Trucker, so let's cover off a couple of housekeeping topics before I do let you go. And we do move to both John Merritt and Sam Chapman, and I'll have a chat to Chapo off air as well. Just quickly, the big news during the week, and I did go off the grid, but I stayed in touch with some things whilst I was on the Gold Coast this week. And one of the things I did stumble upon is that the rain is finally coming.
I cannot wait. So one of the cars that I felt that they fixed up in the last like when they went to this season was the GR86. On release, I wasn't a fan of it. It just did weird stuff and and whatever. But they seem to have actually got on top of that. And now they're adding rain into the mix. I cannot wait. I think it's going to be just awesome. I don't know what tracks are going to be available with it, but I can't wait. I know back in my go-kart days when I was a younger man, rain was my friend. I loved it. I used to do a rain dance every day. So hopefully that correlates across to the sim. I can't wait. And it's going to, there's going to be a lot of retired 1080 and 1060 video cards, and I no doubt the iRacing crowd will be out buying GPU so they can run it, but it'll be worth it, I'm sure.
I'll just jump in here. Joe, it is car limited, not track limited. So the Tempest weather system
so
is across
all tracks.
Yes, correct. It'll be across all tracks.
Okay.
However, only certain cars will have the
cars,
ability.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I've seen the F4, the GR86, and the Ferrari 296, the new Ferrari.
No.
I don't know if anything else has been added yet.
So it's been
I'm
updated.
Pretty certain.
So because of the delay, we were supposed to get it last season patch. We didn't. Now it covers the entire GTP and GT3 field, the Formula Ford,
nice.
the F4, and the GR86.
Yep. Now that's
awesome.
good. That's good because that means that when we've got our GT3 races next season, you better believe there will be some weather variants, and that is exciting. And also, Sam Chapman will comment on this in a moment. They're going to have some fun playing with the later races of the GT3 and GTP Endurance Championships on the platforms of the GSRC this year as well. Hey, Trucker, Mountain Men, what's the lay of the land, please?
HPD ARX01 this week.
What the hell is that?
That's a Honda performance department. I think it's the HPD. I think part of it. It's like an old endurance type car, but open. It's basically a big brother to a Radical. So they're a lot of fun. They got a lot of downforce. They're quite light and they're very nimble, and they're fantastic fun on the mountain because of the downforce.
All right, very nicely done. For anyone that's wanting to tag along and join in the fun there, that's 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time on Saturday night. How's everything over in the west other than that, Joe?
Damn hot, mate. It's
good.
been
Excellent. 43 degrees today, I heard.
In Perth it was, and down here where I am it was 37, and it felt like Townsville weather. It was about 85% humidity to go with it. So
yeah,
it's certainly a 2-shower day, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And I had a couple of those in the early days after my summer holiday back here in Ipswich as well, I might add. Hey, Trucker, thank you, mate. Appreciate that. We'll catch up with you soon.
No worries. Thank you, Zach. Catch you guys.
Road America coming up at the top of the hour for the Porsche Cup. Before that, let's get to John Merritt and Sam Chapman. You two blokes rock and roll very nicely. You've got your history, but you kept it clean tonight. And Jay Merritt, 2 wins from 3 starts, mate, and a nice recovery in race 2 as well.
Yeah, mate. Can't quite crack that 3, but that's all right. We'll keep on trucking. I've just had some bad.
Just left the room. Actually.
Yeah. He's left. Just a little bit of bad luck at turn 2 in that the second race, and then I was carrying some damage, so pretty slow down the straight, sadly. But no, it was good. Third race was fantastic. So I thought I'd broken the back on the first lap. I think I had 1.1 seconds. I got too hungry into the last corner and got a slowdown, but. It made for a better race anyway.
It certainly did. In saying that, the incident at the start of race 2, there was no repeat of that in race 3. You got an absolute blinder of a start, and you know just how to manoeuvre your way through the pack at the start there, John, from 5th to 1st in 3 corners.
Yeah, mate, the seas were parting. I was pretty happy about that as we went towards turn 2, but just got a good run out of 1, and I think everyone was just a little bit conservative as you are on cold tyres, and worked out, and away we went.
Indeed. As far as the whole season at large is concerned, you've got to worry about Adam Lavis at the moment. He's having a consistent run. No doubt tonight's points haul will help you reel him in just a smidgen, because he was in the top 5 all night as well.
Yeah, I think I've missed a round, and I'll probably no doubt miss another one along the way, so it'll all wash out as we get to the end of it. But I know Adam and Sam have been pretty consistent, so hopefully it comes down to a tight battle at the end.
Indeed. And now, as far as Formula V is concerned, if we have a look at what's coming up on the schedule here, mate, can you believe next week marks the midway point of the campaign? It'll be 5 down and 5 to go. And, oh, wow. Spreyton side of Formula V, Long Beach. Someone made the reference to canoe racing earlier tonight. It might have been Trent Lavis. I dare say there'll be a few canoes next week.
Yeah, I think we'll have our oars out, mate, and away we'll go. So, but it'll be good around there. Obviously, it'll punish terribly for a mistake, but I think it'll produce some pretty good racing in these. And Red Bull Ring tonight, for that drafting factor, was mate, it's a good track, and I tend to agree with Joe. I think it doesn't matter the car, it always produces some pretty good racing at Red Bull Ring.
Indeed it does. Very nicely done, mate. Appreciate that. Thank you to you. And looking forward to seeing you back on the grid both Monday nights and Thursday nights going forward for the rest of the campaign. And no doubt you'll be keeping a keen eye on some real-world GT3 racing like most of us this weekend.
Yeah, sadly couldn't make it, but I'll definitely be keeping a keen eye on it for sure.
I'll be the alarm will be terribly, stupidly early up here, but it'll be worth it because it's one of the great spectacles in Australian sport, let alone motorsport. Thanks, Hot Lap. Well done.
Thanks, Zach. Cheers, mate.
Sam Chapman, we were starting to think that Merritt had thrown you the dummy and lured you into the trap there on the last lap, and whether you were lured in or not, it doesn't matter. Another great photo finish, but I want to go back to the start of the night before you comment on race 3. What the hell happened in qualifying, please?
Yeah, qualifying was a bit of a bust. We went wide on the first corner for 3 consecutive laps. That was good. And there was one final lap, and I was about, I reckon it would have been no more than 3/10 off getting to the line to finish it. So, because it's almost a 2-minute lap round here, so to get to 4 laps, it's you got to be pretty dead on. So, yeah, started 17th, but somehow managed to slip through.
I was going to say, you rode your luck a little bit there in race 1, but race 2, very clean, mate. Very solid run from you as we take in now some live pictures from Road America, where qualifying is underway for the second leg of the doubleheader on Spreyton side of Thursday Night Motorsport. The fourth round, the first of the 60-minute races for the Porsche Cup. There's my favourite livery of the night already, just quietly. Have a look at the Team Australia vibe that's giving off. Now, Chapo, second race, a bit of a Seas Park moment for you. The chasing pack nowhere to be seen, and a very commanding and comfortable win.
It was great. Like, as soon as I was able to get through there, and then I could play them off against each other behind with the draft, they kept fighting. So, and I had good pace out there tonight, so I was able to sort of keep it ahead. I thought it would be the sort of track where you'd just catch people back up if you were behind, but the braking points do seem to be at places where you don't necessarily get a massive benefit from being in a group in a tow. You actually lose a bit because you don't have those sort of long corners where you can go side by side and make those overtakes cleanly. Like that turn 2 or 3 or whatever it is if you're going side by side, you just lose heaps of time because it's all uphill and you don't get any power down. So yeah, that worked out well in the end. So put me in good stead for race 3. But as usual, John Merritt thieved it. He is the thief in chief.
Indeed. And as far as race 3 was concerned, I mean, obviously you guys got to duke it out there, and cleanly so, but more than that, it didn't take you long to build the buffer to the rest of the pack, and it very clearly was a race in 2 very early in the piece, which, when it comes to Formula V, is not necessarily the way we like it, but for you guys, it's a little bit less hectic than what it would otherwise normally be.
Yeah, and that's what was surprising about. I mean, that was the only race there was actually a fight for the lead, I think, which is sort of surprising around here. I thought it would be this, a draft century once again, as I said. But no, we were able to build that out, and we worked together as well. We weren't fighting each other. I sat behind him for most of the race, really, and then he gave it back. And towards the end, it was he sold me the dummy. He was really slowing down on that final lap. And I finally sort of took it, probably a couple of corners too early, because he could come back up on that inside. I made him pick a side, but I wasn't able to sort of cut back in enough to slip it back up the inside, and by that point the straight's not quite long enough that you can get past with a toe through there, unless you really nail that final corner, and I had to lift slightly so I didn't get a slow down. So yeah, great racing though. We've actually had some belters, John and I, this week. We had a couple of great ones in 86s last night as well. And I haven't taken them out on the final corner, touch wood. So that's excellent.
Indeed. Quickly, thoughts on Long Beach before we take a break here?
High risk. So we'll see what happens. It's been nice to get through without any incidents tonight, but Long Beach could be a different kettle of fish. I think that the reverse grid race could cause some problems in those tight sections, but that's the fun of it. It'll be interesting. You have to be. I just hope everyone's just pretty careful because it'll be very easy for a lot of cars to go up in the end.
Indeed it will be. Right, mate, very nicely done. Thank you for that. And we'll have a chat off air to you in just a moment. Porsche's coming up from Road America. It's a 60-minute journey. It's not the biggest field you've ever seen lining up there, but it's in excess of 20. I think we've got about 24 in the server one. John Merritt just joining it. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and a few of the protagonists from Formula V joining him for the fun of the fair. We'll take a break at this point in time. The platform's the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, the 4th instalment of Thursday Night Motorsport for 2024. Yes, week 4, night 4, term 1, and we're just about to wrap things up. 60 minutes around here, Spreyton Cider Porsche Cup in just a few moments, and on the way to the break, thanks to Waste Options, Spreyton Cider's Player One Sim Gear, Lobesy Racing, and Wave Australia, and Flash Graphics for their ongoing continued valued support of the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Wherever you're watching it around Australia, watching it across Facebook, Twitch, and or YouTube, break from here, and the second instalment, the desserts serving, coming your way on the other side, with Australia at the Wacker as we go around the grounds on the way there. 4 for 211, leading by 135 runs against the South Africans at the moment, having sent them in earlier today and rolling them for 76. Yes, day one of the Test match, 14 wickets and 287 runs. Women's cricket alive and well, they're breaking back. The continuation of Spreyton Side of Thursday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. Nice to have you along for the ride. It is night 4 of week 4 of term 1 in 2024. Look at all the 4s in there and multiples thereof. Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. It's been a while since we've had a dash around Road America on a broadcast. We're excited about this though, ladies and gentlemen. We're pumped because this is going to be an absolute terror of a Porsche Cup race. If the last few weeks, which I'm reliably informed have been top shelf, are anything to go by. Matt Dench, should surprise nobody, has set the fastest lap of the qualifying session. He will start from pole position. Cars will be rolling into position in just a few moments. In the meantime, there's the circuit, all 6.5 kilometres of it in its glory. The server time and the track conditions, temperature and the like will update in just a moment. But yes, you know this circuit, 325 metres of altitude. You know it's steep history through sports car racing, NASCAR, IndyCar, Champ Car, etc. It's a clear day. That won't take long to change once the rain server drops, trust me. But yes, for the moment, clear conditions in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin for this 4th round of the championship. And we have a look at the points for you. And we have a look at the grid as well in just a few moments' time. And Dave Dench, quick from the outset in highlighting. Yep, excellent. Right, in quality from Matty Dench. Let's go from here. Quickly, 15th of February 2024, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 15 degrees the ambient, the track temp. So it's a very cool circuit there today. We're transitioning from winter towards spring in that part of the world at the moment. Matty Dench, 163 points leads Teo Serrano, 148, 138 for Adam Hayne, 130 for Sebastian Spicer, 113 for Ben Faulkner, Dane Stanton, 108, 107 for Jared Knight, and 100 for Trent Allen make up the top 8 in the point standings at the moment. 2-round wins so far for Matt Dench. Round 2, the blip in the road at Silverstone. We'll wait and see how he goes tonight. Matty Dench, Ben Faulkner in the front row. Todd Hayne, the second row, alongside Jared Knight, Teo Serrano, Sebastian Spicer, the third row, Trent Allen, and Jonathan Hooper, the fourth row, John Merritt, Dane Stanton, the fifth, Liam Banks, Paul Wilson, Adam Lavis, Chook Fung Wong, Brett Bradbury take us back to 15th, David Baz, Mitchell Steele Allison, Robert McGrath, Tristan Koch, Blake Fitzpatrick back to 20th. Phil Butler, Jordan Ferguson, Jaden Green and Josh Thomas make up the field. Nice to see a few new names in there that haven't been assigned a division as yet, as virtue by the red and white numbers in their starting column there. And we're ready to rock and roll here. I think I read 23 degrees the track temperature, 23 degrees the ambient and 13 on track or something stupid. There a few seconds there. 23 the ambient and 17 on track. How often do you see that the track temperature is colder than the ambient at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? No wonder iRacing's cuckoo sometimes. All right, ready to fire. Spreyton Side of Thursday Night Motorsport. Dessert to complement the fantastic main course we just had with Formula V. Right, away we go. Great start from Dench. Awesome jump from Teo Serrano, up 2 spots already. Got by Hayne, got by Knight. Serrano on a charge, up into third already. The Team Australia-like livery there, and up the outside of Dench to turn 1 goes Benny Faulkner. Faulkner took the bait. Dench will happily tuck in behind him and save a little bit of juice in the opening stint. Serrano to third, Hayne and Knight 4th and 5th. Spicer is 6th. Allen, Merritt, Hooper and Banks make up the top 10. Big thanks to Liam Banks, actually, for looking after the broadcast the last couple of weeks, whilst I've been on other assignments, working otherwise. And now we can actually get back out there and have some fun while I'm in here, the best seat in the house. Down to turn 5. Riding on board with Sebastian Spicer. He's got Jared Knight ahead of him. We know Knight has a love-hate relationship with the Porsches. Let's wait and see how tonight fares for him.
So, of course, this one being a 60-minute enduro race. We saw the heat sessions last week from Sonoma, and they did get hot for sure. And so we had a couple of comments from people in the audience, and I look, I'm 50-50 with them, where they weren't too happy with the idea of having a fuel save. A part of me tends to agree, another part of me, I truly believe that fuel saving is a skill and skills should be rewarded. And so as we come into a 60-minute enduro, that will be on full display. Now, does that mean we see the very typical thing of Matthew Dench saving more fuel than anybody and rocketing to the front? Or maybe have some of these other drivers started to understand that this will be a necessity and maybe improve their own fuel strategies as a result?
That's a fair point. Firstly, John Merritt trying to dive down the inside of Trent Allen, does so, gets into P7, onto the main straight, they run.
That's Dane
trouble
Snadden.
behind that. Dane Snadden's in the wall. Oh, he's in the grass. He's not in the wall. He kept it off the wall. Dane Snadden drops to the rear of the field with a skirmish, a spin through the last corner. Lit the rear up, and it sent him hard right. Merritt down the inside of Allen has completed that move and covered him off to turn one. Faulkner, Dench, Serrano, Hayne, Knight. So point number one, first of two 60-minute races in the campaign. We did mention that at the top of the broadcast, not the top of the segment. Point number two, the issue regarding fuel saving. It's a fine art. It's a craft. It's a skill set that if you've got it in your arsenal, the world is your oyster. And we've known that about Matt Dench for some time. And yeah, Dave put out the bleeding obvious there. Denchi was that much quicker than anybody else in the qualifying session, that while he's not leading from the front at the moment, be very mindful of what those purple boxes might look like at the end of the night. He'll just run to a number for the moment until he's in a position where he can top the tank up and get home comfortably. But he'll save in the process, and he won't have to worry about spending as much time on pit road. We know how this guy operates. I'm undecided on it. I mean, I like the skill set factor, and as a result of that, Daniel, I quite like the way in which it then forces the competition to go back to the drawing board and work out what they can do to match those guys. It's hard to say better than, because we haven't seen anyone do it better than the Dench mark at the moment. And by better, I mean there are a lot of guys out there that can run to the same numbers at as Denchy, but they can't do it as consistently in the outright lap pace department as Denchy, and that's what separates him from the rest of the pack. Main straight, 2 laps gone. It's a full throttle run around Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin for Thursday night. Dench will push Faulkner along the main straight. The onboards come to you courtesy of Spreyton Cider. I've got one eye on this. I've got one eye on the timing monitor. And when that eye's not on the timing monitor, it's on the women's test match at the Wacker. Day one, late stages. They've gone past 6 o'clock local time over there in WA. So another 30, 40 minutes or so of play to come there tonight. ESPN Crick Info tells me that there's a minimum of 17 overs to be bowled, or 17 overs left in the day's play, but with the amount of wickets that have fallen and obviously sunset looming over there, I can't see them getting them all in. In the meantime, down the outside, Todd Hayne trying to find a way by. And forcefully so, Teo Serrano is forced into defence mode early on to try and keep Hayne at bay, and does so for the moment. Yeah, it's interesting, Daniel. I mean, there's a lot of people that will have their own ideas on it, but it's the same as, you know, some people like 60-minute races, some people like 40, some people like the sprint racing that we offer 4 times a season, and that's back on the agenda next week when we go to Brands Hatch. But that's a circuit where overtaking opportunities come at a premium. So, I mean, here tonight, flat, hard, nose to tail sort of racing, elbow to elbow, because of the nature of the circuit. And one of the great things about Road America is, even though they're happily following a long line astern at the moment, follow the leader, just hop in the train, know your position and stay there rather than squabble for position this early in the piece. There are plenty of overtaking opportunities available to these guys, so when push comes to shove later in the piece and you're vying for those precious 2 or 3 championship points per position, the gloves will come off, the elbows will be out. Whereas if you were run a 60-minute race like this around Brands Hatch, say, oh, look at that from Serrano. Very late on the forcefulness of the defence there to keep Hayne at bay. Yeah, if it was Brands Hatch, you'd see that elbows out kind of stuff from the start because there's less overtaking opportunities across the course of the night. Hayne opens the door. Knight doesn't take the bait. Tucks back in behind. Keeps Merritt in behind them as well. 208.180 for John Merritt, fastest up of the race thus far. If any of that makes sense, I'm glad because I'm starting to hit the wall here in Central Commentary. It's been a big couple of days. For those of you that have me on socials, you'll know I went down to the Gold Coast to catch up with my niece. Oh, Jared Knight trying to get down to the inside of Todd Hayne. Can't do it. Hayne remains fourth. And there's Merritt. Oh, that was uncharacteristic from John Merritt. I reckon he pinched the brake there and locked it up. So this train, when these guys want to pull the trigger, they won't have any problem finding ways to overtake. Next week, if we were to run a 60-minute race around Brands Hatch, and this is one of the reasons why we run sprint races around there and invert the top 10, you force the guys that want to go hard, want to push for points and want to push for wins to pull the trigger early and race hard from the outset. If it was a 60-minute race around there, it would maybe become a very tame processional sort of affair. You don't get that here at Road America because of the pace of the joint. At Brands Hatch, on the other hand, you've either got a combination of the guys that will happily tuck in, follow the leader and play that processional game, or you've got those that will race hard early knowing that overtaking opportunities don't come around as freely as they do at places like this. And therefore the onus is on them to get on with it from the outset. And we've seen it so many times before. Main straight, lap 4 is done. Ben Faulkner's the leader. It's only 0.18 of a second to Dench. They're starting to gap the rest of the pack. Serrano's doing a nice job here, Dan, of defending the next three, Hayne, Knight and Merritt.
He is. And just to touch on what you were saying before,
How long can he do it for?
Well, that's a good question. He's got 60 minutes, I suppose, or maybe 59 and some change. But the problem here is that, as you were saying, Road America is nice, speedy, it's flat, and overtaking is somewhat made easier by the length of the main straight and the downhill section and so on and so forth. But the problem is that there comes this duality when it comes to racing. We've mentioned this before, and I'll say it again. I apologize if I do sound like a broken record. But the thing is, when you fight, you are slower. It's as simple as that. Now, sometimes you will have two drivers who can fight, but it's like a light sparring session and the speed doesn't really bleed off. And a perfect example here as well is the one on your screen. So we're watching Jared Knight right now, who is technically in a pack of 3, but Teo Serrano and Todd Hayne were fighting, and they were fighting hard, and we saw them. They came together slightly, no damage there, everyone's fine. But because of that, Teo Serrano dropped back by a second and a half. Now, this was less than 10 minutes into a 60-minute race. If they had continued that, those front two would be so far away and gone that it ruins every strategy that the cars behind have. So sometimes you have to think it's better to just sit back and just let's play this game. Let's play it out. If you can make a move, of course you'd make a move. You're a race driver, right? You're not a train conductor. It's not like you're linked by everything. You want to try and get past the guy ahead. But you have to be mindful of that. Now, we see it every single time we have an enduro like this. Matthew Dench will sit behind the guy in front and let them do all of the hard work. And so if Ben Faulkner decides, well, Jesus, I want to be at the back maybe, then that then invites everyone at the back faster up. So it's not something that he can just do. He has to be mindful. Do I try and fake maybe going a little deep into a corner to force the issue on Matt Dench? These are all the games that can be played. These are all the strategies that are up in the air, and we get to go along for the ride and see which ones that they employ. But for now, during that long-winded speech I just had, it seems as though Teo Serrano has brought up the gap. And so 0.5 it is. So it looks like we're now going to have a 6-car pack at the front, and Trent Allen is making stead to join them. But for now, he is 2.3 seconds behind.
I'm going to add 2 points to what you were just saying there as well. One of the other reasons we can see vast number of overtaking opportunities present themselves and be executed around here as we watched John Merritt proved the point down the inside. Jams it down
does
the
he get
inside.
two?
Of not
Does he
just
get two?
Jared Knight, but also Todd Hayne. How about that from John Merritt? Is the width of the circuit. It's a lot wider than a place like Brands Hatch. So you've got more real estate to play with, not just the length of the track, but the width of it as well. And John Merritt executed exactly what Daniel was saying about the length of the racetrack and the straights within it, and also the point. How about that from John Merritt? Bonus points for the fact that he was able to double up there. The reality of the matter is that slipstream, he got that double toe as well. So he wanted to make that late dive, that late lunge, and make his move and make it stick. And he was good enough to pull it off and probably catch Todd Hayne napping by surprise. The other point as well with regards to Teo Serrano, he's had to wind the wick up, thread the needle a little bit more in order to reel Denchi and Faulkner in. But we know that Dench and Faulkner won't mind this because they're probably just running to a number and happy to do so. So last time round, at 208.7 for both Faulkner and Dench, 208.4 for Serrano, proves the point. Merritt thought, you know what, I've got 90, and I reckon if I just go a little bit further, I'll be able to grab Todd Hayne as well. So he's done that very nicely. That's really good from John Merritt. But that is again why Merritt is viewed as one of the best of the best within the club. Moments like that proved the point. Just as we're talking about it, like you couldn't, poetic timing. You could not have scripted that any better for us. So, Russ Green, hello, mate. Nice to have you on board. Reliably informing us that Jared will be trying fuel saving, but he says that every week. And then he still comes in here somewhat gobsmacked that Denchi's able to trump him. When he's up to the same tricks, he'll go a lap longer and he'll be faster in the process. I love it. But that comes back to the point that we're making much earlier in the piece. Whether you fuel save, whether you don't, you've got to have a plan and execute it as best you can. And it's easier said than done for some. And blokes like Dench make it look seamless, almost as though it's almost as though for everybody else it's that thick summer hot wind that's coming through, whilst for Denchi, as he goes to the lead now, he says, I've had enough of following you, Benny. You can follow me for a little while. Down the inside to turn one to take the lead. Dench leads from the front on Faulkner, Serrano, Merritt, Hayne, and Knight. Denchi's one of those people that for everybody else it's that hot, humid, summer, muggy sort of breeze coming through that doesn't cool you down whatsoever. And Dench, it's that cool, winter, southerly, sitting by the ocean. That's the difference. I'm not sure if I've nailed the analogy there, but I'm running with it and I'm sticking with it. Teo needs to stop being a paid actor and get up there, according to one of the comments on YouTube. I like that. Serrano, third at the moment with Merritt. But now Dench has taken off, proving the point made by Dave in the comments in the lead-up here, Daniel Correas. The fact of the matter is that Dench had 0.6 of a second on this field in qualifying, and his lead's already 0.9 of a second, and he only went to the lead at the start of this lap.
Yeah, and so if we want to do some reverse math here, if he was 0.6 of a second faster,
don't test me like that on a Thursday night.
If he was 0.6 of a second faster in qualifying trim, as he just proves the point, 207.563 with Ben Faulkner with a 208.530. So that is almost a second difference. Then does that mean he can match their race pace with fuel saving? It leads us to believe that.
Yeah, most likely.
So maybe that's why he made the overtake. Maybe he realised, well, I'm saving this much behind the car. I can save enough to get at least a lap or two more at the pit window, so I might as well do it from the front. It's we say it all the time, but it's just his ability. It's not just his skill with a car, but it's the racecraft, it's the strategy. Unless he's running, and if he's got an engineer helping him, I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think he does. I'm pretty sure it's all done in that calculator in his head. And so for him to be able to do all of this on the fly, as well as battle, although admittedly sometimes it's rare because he's usually leading, but when he has to, he puts the pressure on and he makes the move. So just, if you're a competitor against that, there's two ways you can look at it. One is, That's ridiculous, and I can't do it. Or the other one is, if he can do it, so can I. And I'm hoping that a lot of these guys that are racing up the front here take that into consideration and use it as fuel to really put the pressure down. Because if we see everyone, they say a rising tide lifts all boats. So if we see everyone's skill get better because of Dench as the proverbial shepherd, as it were, then just imagine the racing after that.
Did you manage to just get a biblical reference into Thursday Night Motorsport? I don't think we've ever had one of them. Well done.
I think by accident. I don't think I meant it. That's just what came to mind.
Yeah. No, well done. I like it. We've had a few Jesus Christ thrown around, or gods, but never a shepherd. Yeah, well done. Okay. Matt Dench, Ben Faulkner, Teo Serrano, John Merritt, Todd Hayne, top 5. Jared Knight, not too far away in 6th at the moment. Very good. Hey, I saw Ross Green in the comments there. I have already subtly left our friends at 4SKA a memo that if they're willing to have me throughout the course of this year, we will be able to team up again at the Manning Valley round and also the Newcastle round of their respective championships. So hopefully that'll be an opportunity to catch up with you blokes in the real world again. Hopefully the cart's ready and running by that point. Enjoyed the endurance karting outings that I had last season. Looking forward to Wagga and Griffith and Taree, Manning Valley, of course, for sprint karting as well this year too. So all set up by Drew Russell, and we caught up with Drew's brother Aaron here on Monday night. So it's all family motorsport, isn't it? It's amazing when you just explore for a few seconds exactly how small it bloody well is. All right, 4 for 247, the Australians, by the way, so a lead of 171 on a very sorry and very battered and bruised South Africa today at the Wacker ground in Perth, with only a handful of minutes left in the day's play. Dave Dench, no engineer helping him. He has been doing it himself for a long time. He's seen him in the sim and he explained it to me. Too bad I can't do the same. Yeah, exactly. We'd all love to have that mechanical intuition and that analytical ability that Denchy's got, just to be able to, well, coach yourself, train yourself, and go through the motions and hit your markers, dot the I's, cross the T's without any sort of assistance. But I mean, we're very lucky in the sense that there are a lot of people in this caper that are willing to sit there and be that spectator for the guys that want to go out there and have a little bit of assistance by way of a spotter throughout the course of the night. And that was big during COVID as well, Daniel, as you'll remember. iRacing spotters became a big thing in terms of real world people doing the spotting during the height of the pandemic, because everyone was looking for something to do. They were looking for something to do other than sit there and watch the depressing news bulletins or watch reruns on Netflix or Stan or whatever the case may be. So everyone jumped into virtual racing when the opportunity presented itself in any way, shape or form. Dench, Faulkner, Serrano, Merritt, Hayne and Knight. It's been status quo here for a little while. And there's a musical reference for you as well. So we're getting all the references in tonight. We're on lap 10. Now, we're past the 20-minute mark just now. We're 1/3 race distance. We're going 27, 28, somewhere in that vicinity laps tonight, folks. Keep an eye on this, because it can't be too far away before... Oh, geez, would you believe this? Would you believe this? I'm going to break into what I was saying to give you some breaking news from the Wacker. Elisa Healy, 99, went to get the 100, caught and bowled. 99 of 124 balls. Elisa Healy has been dismissed, 5 for 249, and a little bit of a consolation prize for the South Africans. Back to what we're saying here. Again, I was looking at the timing monitor, and I just glimpsed right of screen to see Elisa Healy chip one up straight into the arms of the bowler. You wouldn't fair dinkum read about it. So a 99 for Elisa Healy. No, it's quite extraordinary. With this being lap number 10 and being 3rd race distance, we can't be far away from that pit window and that first round of pit stops. There will be 2 of them tonight. The second one, of course, a splash and dash if you go the full dropper on the first stop. But keep your eyes peeled, because whatever the front runners do, you can guarantee the leader's going to go a lot longer. That's usually the way he plays this game. He might throw a spanner in the works and trick us up by going a lap shorter, but I don't see that one happening. He will go a lap longer now to then give himself a little bit more leverage later in the piece. However, the one thing that may make a fool of me would be if this was any other circuit, I'd normally expect that to be the case. But this is Road America, so trying to get that extra lap, trying to save the fuel required to get that extra lap is easier said than done, only because of the length of the circuit, not much else. Jared Knight's in, David Baz is in on that point. So there are some guys that have gone early, lap 10. We're on lap 11 for everybody else. 8th place is Jonathan Hooper at the moment. Paul Wilson 9th. Under pressure from Adam Lavis at the moment. Hooper the leader of the open split. The elite split being led by Matt Dench. Pit lane activity continues for Jared Knight, for David Baz, for Liam Banks. We've lost Jordan Ferguson. We've lost Robert McGrath. Have I been... I've obviously missed something there. I didn't see what brought them undone as we were talking analytically, as we have been for much of the opening stint. But that's Lavis all over the back of Wilson like a cheap suit at the moment. Wilson running 7th in class, 8th in class now that he is part of the elite split. And of course, Lavis running 2nd in class at the moment. Those numbers in, those white numbers on red background, folks, are drivers that haven't yet been assigned to one of the two classes because they're obviously new to the series. So the yellow numbers on the black background are the elite split, and the yellow background white numbers are the open split. We ride on board with Adam Lavis now.
So, just the chat they're asking about Knight. Jared Knight looks like he came in the pit on lap 10, so he's dropped back down to P18, getting that pit stop done early. We'll see whether or not that undercut works for him. Ryan Preston there. Mavericks having a solid race so far. I hope so after I yeeted us last week. Yeah, so he would be... So he's fighting with Paul Wilson at the moment, which isn't for class position. So he has to try and chase down Hooper, who seems to be, if I'm correct, in the pit lane so far. Actually, everybody at the front is in the pit lane, and they will come in as well. That is everybody from the top 10 in the pit lane. So that is the extent of the pit window, I suppose.
That's exactly what we're talking about. Any other track, Denchi would go a lap longer. At Road America, it usually pegs him back a bit. However, watch how much he saved across the course of... Watch how much he saves across the course of the two pit stops in terms of time on the lane. In perfect illustration, he's gone the short fuel this time round.
I think
He'll
Merritt's
go the long
come
fuel
out good
next
too.
time
Look at
round.
this.
Merritt's gone slightly shorter than a few others as well. So Merritt's going to jump up a bit here. 11.9 for Dench, 15.2 for Faulkner, 14.1 for Merritt, 14.5 for Serrato, 14.6 for Hayne, 14.6 for Knight, 14.7 for Spicer. But Dench has gone 11.9. Knowing that it's not a 33-lap race, knowing that he got to 11 laps, he can work with that because now he's only got to get 11 laps from home to be able to come back into the lane. So he's gone the short fuel in this stint. And if we're going 28 laps or 29 laps, which both options are on the table there, 28, 29 laps, that would make the threshold lap 17 or 18, depending upon which we go. So that would fall right into Denchi's lap there to come in, top up a little bit of fuel, and go back out again and go full tilt to the checkered flag. The point I was making is that even though he's gone in and pulled the trigger on the same lap as most of the field, he'll have saved a little bit of juice along the way. So he won't have as much a bill to pay in terms of fuel he needs to take on board and top up the tank with as everybody else. And we'll get a more graphic, more clear illustration of that at the end of the second round of pit stops. Stumps in Perth, 5 for 251 Australia, and leading, well, by 175 runs. Quite extraordinary first day of play there. And they fell a few overs short of the required minimum 90 overs to be bowled. But when you're already that far into the match, 15 wickets lost and what's that, 327 runs scored in the day's play, I don't think we'll worry about a few overs dropping off the count. South Africa were bowled out in 32 overs. It's important to note. So, what a day. That continues tomorrow, 1:30 Eastern Daylight Time on 7 Mates. In the meantime, we continue because we're watching John Merritt here at the moment. And he's all over the back of Ben Faulkner like a cheap suit. Dentures pulled out to a 4.9 second lead. So it's leaving everybody else fighting for the minor placings. 4 in the fight, 2 positions on the podium available. 2 are going to be happy, 2 are going to miss out.
Just thinking about all that's been said, I have no power in this, but
yes, mate.
Does anybody else want to see Matt in a real car?
In a real car, as in like
an actual race car.
Put him in a Carrera car and send him to Bathurst.
Yeah, go on.
Why not?
Surely.
I'm all for it. Like, I mean, again, it comes back to getting the attention of the right people, having the coin to do it, or having the backing to do it. And there are a lot of people that would back Matty Dench. If you look at his SimWorld form, and I'm very confident that it would translate to real-world performance, but it'd be a huge step. But there would be plenty of curiosity surrounding it if ever there was the chance presented to him to make it happen, to make it a reality. If ever it was to come to fruition, by gee, there'd be one hell of an interest in that, because we've seen what he's done here. I'd love to see how it'd stack up against the likes of Harry Jones and whoever else is doing good things in Porsches at the moment. Tommy Sargent on the international stage in North America, of course. That would be. It's a good question. It's a good thought bubble. But again, we just come back to motor racing being such an expensive game to play in the real world.
No, that's exactly right, and it is. And the other thing too is, I will point out the obvious, which is, it is sim versus real life, and you can make the argument that they're not the same. But the amount of evidence that we've seen of people going from sim to real world motorsport and killing it seems to suggest that it could be a good idea. I would love to see it. I just feel like his ability to adapt. So if he got in and he wasn't, straight out the gate like amazing, whatever, which most likely he wouldn't be, but his ability to adapt, I feel like he'd learn really quick. It's something that, again, we most likely might not ever see. But if anybody's out there and they have connections or even a race car themselves, I at least give him a track day.
You know what I'd really like to see? I mean, even if it was only in a time attack mode, or whether we could actually facilitate it in race form, I'd love to see a state of origin concept, real v virtual. So let's have a duke out, and you'd have to develop a points format for it. But let's have a duke out where we pit them up on a real world racetrack in real world cars, and then duke it out on a sim. And just to see where it lies, where the competition stacks up against each other. I reckon that'd be a really eye-opening experience, but it would be a bloody expensive insurance exercise, I think, as well.
That's true.
And a challenging thing to try and facilitate.
Yeah, and the other thing too, I'll just touch on Ryan's comment there, where he built this sim because the real world is way too expensive in today's market unless you come from a motorsport family. That's 100% correct. And the other thing I'll say is this. I think the clouded nature of maybe some of the high and mighty of thinking, oh, well, it's a sim, it's just a game, has really come down because of all the transfers of sim to real life and the training tools and how accurate these are, the more and more accurate, and the graphics getting better and better. And it's one of those things where this is just me, and I'm a lowly racer. I really have nothing of a claim, but there are moments where I will race, I will have a race, whether it be an iRacing or a Assetto Corsa or whatever the case may be, and you're racing so damn hard that when you park the car up, you are drenched in sweat. And so, I mean, the cars might not be real, but the racing certainly is.
No, I do agree with you. And it's elbows out. It hasn't been hugely competitive at the front end of town tonight, by which I mean, yes, the pace is there, yes, the intensity's there, but they haven't been engaging in battle. It's been very processional in that regard, but you watch the intensity lift on this once we get through that second round of pit stops, and then the racecraft comes into it. These guys are just going through the motion, playing the game, and getting to a point where they will allow the gloves to fall off, and they will properly go to work and fight it out for track position. It hasn't yet happened yet. They're close enough to certainly be in a position to engage in battle, but this is tactical racing that these guys are immersed in right now. And while for us, it provides too much time for us to get tongue-tied and start speculating and talking about various different things and trying to solve the world's problems. We're used to this circus. We've been doing this how long? This is standard procedure. So, actually, that's one thing I've noticed too, Daniel. And it was only when Benny Faulkner ran as close to the edge of the Ribble Strip as he did just then. No one's had a big stack. I don't want to put the micro on it. Touch wood, fingers crossed it doesn't happen, but no one's had a big stack through turn 11 yet. That is usually one of the main key points where someone comes undone at Road America.
Yeah, and a lot of that will have to do with the fact that iRacing, of course, had that patch where they changed the characteristics of the surfacing of grass and things like gravel, which some people have had, some issues with. As Matthew Dench just sets the fastest lap of the race at 2:07.427, but because of the characteristic change, it's leaning more towards a realistic side. Sometimes you'd go to turn into a corner, you'd put 0.47 of a mil onto the grass and spin.
Back up. Only because I've just noticed Jared Knight's down in 20th on our leaderboard. We got caught up talking about real and virtual. So Knighty's come in at the end of, he came in one lap earlier than everybody else. He came in lap 10, and then he's parked up after coming in on lap 12, and he was parked there for 8.97 seconds. Jared Knight's out of business. His love-hate relationship with this Porsche bloody well continues.
Yeah, I did. It was Cox that brought in
Simon
a chat
Cox,
asking. Simon Cox. So I went back and checked, and it looks like Jared Knight had a spin coming out of the later turns and seemed like he'd had enough. He didn't hit the wall or anything. He just slid and stopped, but then he reset back to pits, and that was him done and dusted. So I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but he's out of it, and that brings us down to 19 on the track.
Really unfortunate, I must say, that Knight is out of business, and it looks like Liam Banks might be parking up as well. So that takes us down to 18. That's only just happened. Banks is parked up, Banks is done. And on that subject, actually, look who's in the green room. Jared Knight graces us with his presence in the commentary box. Far too early in the piece for the sake of it. Far much earlier than you would have liked to be gracing us with your presence, mate, and joining us for Yaki. What happened?
Mate, I wasn't really motivated for tonight, man. So first saw the writing on the wall when I come out 2 seconds behind the train, despite fuel saving and coming in a lap earlier. So I'm not sure what happened there, but wasn't overly keen on. Just didn't have the pace to keep up with those boys, and wasn't overly keen on driving around for another 40 minutes by myself. So
that's fair.
So just wrap it up and get packing for 12-hour heading up tomorrow.
Heading up as a spectator.
Yep.
Just to go and keep an eye on what's going on at Mount Panorama. That's going to be awesome. What isn't necessarily as awesome is that you are a retirement tonight. Geez, you got a love-hate relationship with this car. Russ Green made the comment that you would be trying the fuel saving, but by gee, this is a topic of discussion, and it has been a recurring theme throughout the course of the night. It's such an incredibly tough skill set to master, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just. The fuel saving I wasn't too worried about the fuel so much. It was just the left side of the car, the two left boots. Just that left front was just roasting, and I think that's an art in itself to manage that. And I think this car just doesn't suit my driving style over a longer race. I can get away with it over a sprint format, but yeah, trying to nurse a tyre with my driving style in this car just doesn't happen.
Mates, let's change the topic a bit and talk about something that's going to impact everybody in particularly GT3 circles, the onset of the rain server at long bloody last. It's coming our way next season.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's about time that they've got their act together and yeah, releasing in season 2. It'll be interesting to see how Mr. Lavis sets the servers on Monday nights, whether he just leaves it to some real-world dynamics or if he plays his own tricks and whatnot. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see who can, I guess, can maintain the dry weather pace and transfer that into some wet weather racing, because it's a different different art in itself.
Yep, he won't be able to tell me one way or the other, I must say, because I'll get too excited if there is going to be rain. I'm going to have to get excited on the go as it falls, if it falls. He won't be able to fill me in on the secret either, because yeah, that could lead to a subtle hint being dropped and someone taking advantage of it, and you change the whole dynamic of the thing after that. Now, a quick update from here. That train continues to just follow one another along. We're not surprised by that. Matty Dench leads 11.6 seconds. The bloke has just taken off in this stint. 207.135 and 207.536. Everybody else in the 208.5s or 207.9s, 207.7s, 208.4s, name it. They're that far off the Dench market. It's not funny at the moment. He is putting on yet another clinic here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. We're going to get back to the line this time and have, by my maths, 10 to go possibly. I don't think they're going to get to 29. I think it's going to be 28 tonight here in this first 60-minute enduro for the Porsche Cup for the season. We've got Jared Knight in the commentary box far too early in the piece for the sake of it. We'd much rather be chatting to him at the end of the night, but that's not to be on this occasion. Have a look at this. Trent Allen down the inside of Dane Snadden. Allen goes to 12th. Snadden, of course, having a spin early in the piece. It's been a reconnaissance missions for him so far. Recovery. He's put pay to Banks, Knight, Ferguson, McGrath by way of their retirements, but he's still got a fair bit of work, fair bit of movement, a fair bit of fair way to go, I should say, as I get tongue-tied as a message comes in late in the piece. Chook Fung Wong in the Pink Panther car off the road at turn 14. Yeah, Nighty, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Because, again, it reinvents the wheel and it just puts everyone back on level pegging to a degree. Because there are going to be some guys here that wet weather's not going to be their liking, and it's going to be a skill set they have to, like the fuel saving, try and slowly master and get their head around.
Yeah, 100%. It might bring back the quick guys to the field a little bit. No disrespect to I guess to some of the slower guys, but they're being a bit slower probably won't necessarily be a bad thing when it comes to those conditions. So you might find that the couple of the mid-pack guys will actually start battling for front positions when the conditions roll in. It's always a great leveler, the old wet weather,
as it is in the real world as well. You only got to look at how a Formula One field gets shaken and stirred with the onset of wet weather. Looking forward to Formula One being back in a couple of weeks, and of course MotoGP about 3 weeks away. Confirmation earlier this week, the Australian Grand Prix will host the opening round in next year's Formula One World Championship as well, just while I think of it, ladies and gentlemen. This year it's round 3, it's the weekend before Easter.
So is that because I didn't read too much into that one, but I believe the last time they suggested that it was because that Bahrain would be in a holiday.
Ramadan's coming up this year. In fact, it is because Ramadan is the day after the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix that it and the Bahrain Grand Prix are running Saturday night local, Sunday morning Eastern at times. Here in Australia, early hours, because, well, that's not as bad as early hours Monday morning. We can actually get up and watch the race, then go back to bloody bed. But the reality of the matter is that there's a stipulation in Formula One regulations that no Grand Prix can be run less than 7 days apart. Bang! Into the lane comes Benny Faulkner. There's the first of the last round of pit stops coming up for the front runners in this field. So, yeah, there's a bylaw in the Formula One regulations that no two Grand Prix can be run within the same 7 day period, which if they were to run a Sunday night Grand Prix and then a Saturday night Grand Prix would be, unfortunately, blurring the lines of communication on that one. So they said, look, for the sake of making Saudi Arabia Saturday night, we've got to make Bahrain Saturday night, and therefore with Las Vegas also Saturday night, local Sunday afternoon Eastern daylight. There'll be 3 Formula One Grand Prix for the first time ever on a Saturday in the same calendar year. So that's going to be history in its own right, and we're looking forward to that immensely. Ben Faulkner back out into the race in 9th place. Yes, because of Ramadan and a few other things, it'll work out nicely to have the Australian Grand Prix back, but it will be a very early March date, and that actually presents another topic of discussion, whether that'll be the opening round for the Supercars Championship locally, or whether they'll try and squeeze a one of their own rounds that they promote and they sanction in before the Grand Prix, which would mean a February start. Which would mean, again, a very busy February with a 12-hour and a supercar round as well. So a lot to play out now that we know the Formula One circus will be rolling into town probably a little bit earlier here if it's going to be 24 races again.
So that means that Australia will be leading the calendar for the first time in however many years.
Since, 2020 theoretically, but that, of course, never got off the ground because everybody got sent home because someone sneezed.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. So it'll be Australia leading, opening the calendar, and it'll be Lewis Hamilton in a Ferrari.
And it'll be interesting to see Dench to the line at the end of lap 20, and this is exactly what we expected. Dench to the lane, 8 laps to go, and he's on his way home. Now, I say 8 laps. We've got 16 and a half minutes here. And as long as he starts that 28th lap anywhere in that 59th minute, or that 60th minute even, we get home. So, yes, even though it says 16 minutes to go on the clock, we know that we'll go into overtime by virtue of the fact that the laps around here are about 2 minutes and 8 seconds. And that gives you 8/8 to 16 and 8/8 to 64. So 8/2 to 16, and 8/8 to 64. So that's going to be about a minute of overtime before we even take into consideration the stop time here in the lane. And Dench is back out there. That took 2/10 of FA for Matt Dench to get in, top up and go. 11 seconds again, the stop time. So that's the other point for you, Daniel. His stops have been pretty much bang on the same time, 11 seconds apiece.
Yeah, and that's to do with the consistency that we were talking about earlier. If he can fuel save more than everyone else, that means that his pit stops are faster. And so once he's done that math, where it gets crazy for me is it's the fuel saving, but then he keeps the speed. It's like usually it's one or the other, but he makes it work. So I don't know. It's just a freak of nature, and we love to see it, right? But one day, and I'm holding on hope to. As Blake Fitzpatrick goes a little wide, that might allow Bradbury in the inside. No, Bradbury will have to fall in line. One day, I swear, someone's going to come along and they're going to be just as good, if not better. And then from there on, your sparks will truly fly.
Yep, got to go away a long way to. You might have to go a long way, I should say, to find someone of Dench's calibre, though. Nighty, while you're here, get your thoughts on Brands Hatch and sprint racing next week, mate. I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting because At the end of the day, we were only talking about this earlier as well, as John Merritt and Teo Serrano come to pit lane. And I dare say Spicer will come in after that as well. Hooper still to stop again. So too Fitzpatrick, Bradbury, Allen, Snadden, and Tristan Koch and Mitchell Allison. Spicer's going to continue on, wants to fancies his chances at maybe leading a lap. Dench is going to go to second outright in the running order for the moment, but the effective leader, that is of surprise to nobody. But yeah, Nighty, coming back to you, and we appreciate you sticking around and having a chat with us here, mate. We're, what are we now, 14 minutes away from the checkered flag. Brands Hatch next week. It's always fraught with danger, those racetracks, because sprint racing, the invert of the top 10 for the second race, and like Alton Park and a few others we've visited, this one not well known for overtaking opportunities, so you're going to have to get your hands dirty and your elbows out pretty early in the piece in that second race.
Yeah, I think it's actually not a bad track in the 992 Brands Hatch, but yeah, like you said, I think it's going to be a bit like it's a bit unfortunate for Todd there hitting the back of John.
I was going to ask you about your teammates, but that just painted the picture, so we'll move on.
But yeah, like you said, it's going to be a bit like Alton Park when we went in there in the GT3s the other week. It's overtake's going to be a premium, and it's more or less just going to be about putting the blowtorch on someone and forcing them into a mistake to gain spots, because it's just that typical British circuit with not much runoff and grass on either side, a bit like this track actually.
Indeed. And that's the other thing as well with the new grass model. It'll be interesting to see if the grass there at Brands is as slippery and as death riddled as some of the other tracks have been before those updates came along. Haven't had a real chance to analyse that as yet. With regards to everything else, Nighty, how's prep for real world stuff going? I know I said to Russ Green earlier in the call, because he made a comment here about you attempting the fuel save, that I might be on you guys at the Manning Valley and Newcastle rounds of 4SKA this year, but that's subject to confirmation. But I've at least, given Rob Russell and the crew there my availability for those 2 dates if they so want me. But how's prep coming for the season ahead, mate? And how many rounds do you expect to contest?
Prep's been nil at this point. We haven't taken the card out, and next round's coming up thick and fast, so we better get our act together. But I dare say, the plan is to contest every round from here on. I saw the guys put the results up from last weekend, and the Hoof-Hearted boys continued their dominance in pro class, and a couple of well-knowns in our class got the job done. So it looks like some familiar names, but it'll be interesting to see who rocks up when we get down to Canberra in I think it's about 3 or 4 weeks' time.
And who are you barracking for this weekend, by the way? Apart from everybody's got a soft spot for 1V Rossi, but who else are you keeping an eye on?
It'd be rude of me to not support the Beamers, given my love for the Beamer on the service, and that was sort of how I went about it last season. Last year, I based my decision on who I was supporting by who had the best looking merch. So, and that just happened to be the Beamer, so we rolled around and just started acting like we were BMW factory drivers and acting like tospots. But it's half the fun. But I don't know. It'd be good. Looks like a good field this year. There's a few more invitational cars, a couple of GT4s. So. Be a few new faces, a few new cars. I think the 992 for the first time in the flesh. So, be interesting.
Indeed, it will be. And I must admit, we here in iRacing circles are just looking for the onset of, looking forward to the onset of rain and the introduction of a Ford Mustang, so that the old Fords are somewhat competitive and somewhat included or shown some love by the.
I think they're predicting a little bit of rain this week. Actually,
the driving cohort
yeah.
in sim racing circles. It wouldn't be Bathurst without rain. But you know what I'd really like to see one year, and this is going to really test the waters as to who agrees with me and who doesn't, but I'd really love to see a wet weather start, like a full blind, full tilt wet weather start, not behind the safety car, just let them have at it.
I have one thing to say to you, Zach. Can you
Yep.
just remind me what the first corner name is?
Hell.
So
Hell corner. And it would be.
in
it
the
would be.
dry.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It'd be a boat
I
ramp.
I just think that would be a new spectacular addition to the already great spectacle that it is. That would really test the stamina. But yes, I could imagine that being one of those unpopular opinion moments if ever people got wind of the fact that I said it. Now, sun's starting to set. Can we have a look at the updated conditions, please, Daniel? Just to let everybody know. So, 4:47 in the afternoon. Geez, that's a sunset on par with Queensland. Geez, they'd be proud of what they're seeing in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin at the moment. But I'll stress to my Queensland friends that it's winter in America on that server time. So in summer, they observe this thing called daylight saving. It's a far more progressive and civilised concept than Queensland's capable of understanding. But yes, 4:48 in the afternoon, 22 degrees the ambient, 23 on track. Now, we're, 22 on track and 23 ambient. So still the track temperature cold for this time of year. 7.5 minutes to go. Dench is 4 laps from home. And he's punched out a 2:07.135 as Simon Cox gets the bingo card checked up for the night. Well done, my friend. Ben Faulkner, Teo Serrano and John Merritt making up the top 4. Todd Hayner's a distance 5th. Hey, Nighty, we were remiss of me. Sorry, Daniel, you go first, and then I'll throw another question in Nighty's direction.
I'll just point out as
hang
Merritt,
on. What about the Barrichello Schumacher-esque defence work from Teo Serrano, sending John Merritt to the high side?
Oh, the bump!
Merritt gives him a touch! Just for good measure, just for his trouble. Gives him the hurry up.
Oh.
Don't try that again, mate. I'm right here. And now he's up the outside of the run down to 5. I'm coming back to both of you in just a moment. The elbows are out, the gloves are off. It's John against Teo. It's Pulse against the Team Australia lookalike. Have a look at him. Down to turn 5. Merritt on the outside on the brakes.
Oh, but he locks it!
Locks it up! Merritt had that in the bag and locked it up! Teo Serrano survives the ultimate pressure from John Merritt. Unbelievable. Have a look at this again. Teo Serrano breathes a sigh of relief and gets lucky. That is incredible. Very uncharacteristic from John Merritt. Pinch the brake there, gone. Overshot it. No doubt a little bit frustrated by the defence work or the intensity or the aggressive nature of the defence of Teo Serrano. And now Merritt's playing catch up for a little bit longer. 0.8 the margin. And Merritt will pull out all stops over the next 3 laps to try and reel Serrano back in. Extraordinary. Back to you, Daniel.
So just wanted to point out, so we were talking about rain earlier and how that's going to be a big drastic change for the service, and I agree, of course it will be. But the other thing that it introduces, which is something that people might be overlooking, is the fact that we refer to it as rain because we've already had dry, and it's the easiest way to determine it. But it's more than that because it is a full-fledged weather system. They're calling it Tempest. iRacing call it their Tempest weather system. And what it actually enables us to do is it's not just rain, but it's across the gamut weather. Now, that doesn't include snow, so let's get that out of the way. It is rain and dry, but it also means foggy conditions. So not necessarily rain, but heavy, dense fog conditions, which will bring about its own hurdles for the drivers that have to tackle it. So with all of that in play, we're going to see a big change into the way that the drivers race each other, because if they thought you couldn't see them with a single monitor now,
yes, that's true.
when it's just lights and fog, I'm very curious to see how it gets represented in the sim, in terms of like the broadcast side and as well as for the drivers. But yeah, it's just going to be just a complete and utter upheaval of the way.
I was going to say, given how frigid that will be, and how I guess I'll come back to the point. I just want to quickly update you on what you're seeing on your screen there. Trent Allen in 12th place. Blake Fitzpatrick under the pump from him at the moment. Ben Faulkner. Ben Faulkner's off the road. Ben Faulkner has had an internet dropout, I'm going to guess.
Oh, no. He
Ben
was
Faulkner
flashing.
Was second on the road. Teo Sorono goes to second.
No.
John Merritt to third. Ben Faulkner's had an internet dropout. Of all the wretched bad luck in the world. Oh, boy. Matty Dench, we reckon's getting ready to put another purple box in the sector, but in saying that, he doesn't really need to wind the wick up anymore. A 2:07.1 stacks up against anything else we've seen more than comfortably by about 0.6 of a second. But look at this battle. It's back on. 2 laps to go. Dench, Sorono, Merritt. 2 laps to go. Road America's... at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin's Road America circuit. As sunset looms. Merritt, Sorono defends again. Merritt to the outside on the run down the 1. Oh, hold your breath. Through there they go. I'm coming back to Jared Knight. We cannot take our eyes off this. Merritt trying everything to jam it down the inside and find a way through. Sorono driving the perfect race for defence here to frustrate the absolute hell out of John Merritt and to keep him at bay. This is extraordinary. The run down to turn 5, he's putting it in all the right places at all the wrong times for John Merritt is Teo Sorono. And the trick for John here, and they've all fallen into the trap in the past, is to find a way to lure Sorono into a false sense of security. This is on like Donkey Kong, and it's the unexpected fight for second. It was the fight for the final step on the podium. Oh, that's so unlucky for Ben Faulkner. If he is still there or thereabouts, if it's not that he's exited the server, but his internet's punted him, he will still get classified on 75%, and I hope that he does. That was a great run from him and a horrible way for it to end. Dench the leader. 19.5 seconds the advantage. Sorono doing his level best against John Merritt, who's applying the ultimate pressure to the outside at Canada. Surely not. No, not yet. But hold your breath, because there's only 7 kilometres to go. White flag in the air for Denchi with 1 minute on the clock. We will go a minute into overtime. This will be the 28th and final lap. 1 lap, 14 turns, 6.5 kilometres, and only a handful of chances left for John Merritt to find a way by Teo Sorono. What about the pressure? What about the intensity of this? What about the defence from Sorono? Is there a crack in the wall as Merritt goes down the outside to turn 1? He'll go the up and under on the run to turn 2. Sorono now in the wrong place at the wrong time. He moves across and jams the door shut on Merritt. How did he pull that off? Sorono holding on to second. 2 car lengths in this, ladies and gentlemen. Dench gone. Forget about him. The lead's out beyond 20 seconds. It'll be 21 before the end of the lap. Merritt's in the glass! Merritt's in the glass! They contacted. They're gone!
They're both off.
Both gone. Todd Haynes going to come through and take second off them. And that was the one thing we didn't get to talk to Jared Knight about. But Hayne had just been lurking there, minding his own business, holding on to 5th and 4th with Faulkner's downfall. And all of a sudden, because Sorono and Merritt were only too caught up in their own battle and worried about themselves, they weren't thinking about the presence of Todd Hayne looming large. And he's going to come through in the number 2 and finish in the same position. And yet again, John Merritt finds himself off the podium. But I reckon race control's got a little bit of work to do on the back end of that. I may have missed the chance to have a Porsche last lap thriller on the old camera here in central commentary. Main straight, checkered flag. Matty Dench doing Matty Dench things in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Dench wins at Road America. The latest round of the championship. Round 4, the first of the 60-minute enduros. And he was a cut above once again. Now we ride with Adam Lavis. This is not for class position. Let's stress that. This is David Baz, 6th in class, and Adam Lavis, 2nd in class, and they're 7th and 8th outright. Oh boy, there's a lot to pick apart in just a few moments with both Jared Knight and Daniel Correa-Sarr here, folks. Stick with us. This has been awesome. We knew it was going to be good tonight. We never expected it to be that bloody good. Sorono 3rd, Merritt 4th, no doubt disgruntled. Spicer Hooper, Baz, Lavis. Can Lavis get the run on the run to the line? No. Baz will hold on. Allen in for 9th and Bradbury 10th. And Dane Snadden's off the road on the final lap and loses a position to Chook Fung Wong. Dane Snadden loses out to Chook Fung Wong. And that was the battle for 12th outright, but not a class battle in the sense. Philip Butler and Tristan Koch will come through to make up the top 15. Paul Wilson was a lap down, didn't see what happened there. Ben Mitchell Allison and Ben Faulkner. That is one of the big stories of the night, and this is the other. 90 as a racer, I hate to throw this at you, but I want your views on this before we go any further, please. What's your take on it?
Slightly disappointing, I think. I don't know, the camera angle we sort of had as they were coming down the back straight, I guess maybe didn't sort of see if John had an overlap getting squeezed onto the grass there, and then I think that, yeah, probably just heated things up a bit, and yeah, both just missed their braking markers, and yeah, I guess in a team sense, it was a great thing for Todd to just pick up the scraps and drive on through there.
And I hadn't even got to, because there were so many different topics of discussion here tonight, I hadn't even had the chance to talk to you about your teammates, and that. I mean, all your issues aside tonight and your frustration, that's a great result for the team, him being on the podium, mate.
100%, yeah. A couple of the boys have stepped up, and like Adam and Todd have come in and just been right on the pace and getting some solid results. It's unfortunate that Adam wasn't here tonight. I think he had some kind of surgery today, so he's just resting up, and but yeah, the team's been real good in Porsche Cup. It's just my own personal issues with this car are just they're rearing their heads again. But yeah, in a team sense, it's great.
Indeed. Hey, Daniel Correa-Sarr, we know that one will be under investigation. We know that race control will be having a good look at that. Let's not, pick sides here, but give me your objective opinion as a racer in your own right. What were your thoughts on that? What was your take on it?
Well, I'll attack this from two fronts. If it was from a racing perspective, honestly, it does look like hard-fought racing.
Yep.
The only issue I take with it is, as per the iRacing code, you are not allowed to move. You're not allowed to react to a move that a driver behind makes. And so, as we were looking at the drone cam there, we'll just go back to it momentarily. One moment, we'll just go and have a look at that again. So here's my issue. So we'll start from the beginning of the altercation. So here they go side by side. Nothing here seems out of the ordinary. and it just seems like a strong fight. Teo Serrano takes that inside line and pushes a little bit deep in order to get John Merritt. Pulls up earlier, knowing he's going to have to go deep, tries to get on the switchback and drive it on the inside to try and get the better run down towards turn 2. Now, Teo manages to cut off. All of this, to me, seems just fine. Where I have an issue with it is coming up. We'll go on to the drone footage here.
Yeah.
And I'll try and just point it out for you guys. I'm sure you know what I am talking about. We'll slow it down slightly here. So
I was going to say, when you get a chance, go back to the drone footage out of turn 1 on the run down to turn 2, just to give us an indication as to how close it was when Teo chopped across as well.
Here's where I have an issue. You're going to see John Merritt take a move to the left, and Teo responds in kind. Now, technically, under the regulations of iRacing, that is blocking. And so
I don't disagree with that.
I don't know how race control. Now, of course, we have our own rule set, and I am not a steward, and so I'm going to leave race control to make the decision on that. But that's the thing. I want to say that might be considered blocking and therefore an infringement on Teo Serrano's part. But again, I will stay neutral. We'll see how that comes out.
I agree. It was good competitive racing. Mr. Aristakis, we said it'd be good. I need to have a chat to the great man off air at some point and get a little bit of insight from him regarding his preparations for the Sydney 300, just for some work that I'm doing for Motor Racing Australia. But we'll do that another time, Paz. Here's the drone footage that I was curious about, and how good a run Teo got off turn 1 to then get across and defend John Merritt on the run down to turn 2. Because if he's moved, whilst John's even the slightest bit up the inside, then that might be something they look at as well. And I'm not sure we're going to... No, I tell you what, I'd be interested to see. Was that a puff of smoke out of Merritt's?
I think Merritt gives him a touch there, definitely.
Yeah.
I think the back of Serrano's car definitely wiggles.
I was going to say, it wouldn't have surprised me if there was a little bit of a jar of the brakes from Merritt as well out of all of that. So I never thought we'd get into critical analysis of an iRacing crash, but here we are, ladies and gentlemen. What a moment this was, just extraordinary.
Yeah, there's a bump.
Yeah, there is a touch. Yeah, well picked up, Jared.
There's the dent there too. Speed as evident on the back of Teo's car.
It left the mark behind, no doubt about that. That had been brewing for a while. And Merritt, no doubt, a little bit frustrated after his own blunder, going a little bit too deep under brakes. That was the interesting part, the work on the grass. By which point, Serrano looked as though he knew it was already done as well. The second part of that, because it looked like he was starting to concede defeat. That part we didn't see. That explains why Serrano got far away from Merritt, because of the donut work from John getting back underway. Wow. Well, that was worth sticking around for, 90.
Yeah. I might go start packing now, like I said I was about 40 minutes ago.
Mate, what? How nice to be in that position where, as a racer, you can just, ideally you'd be back out there, but look at the bright side. Your teammates flying the flag for you, and B, neither your team or you have been embroiled in that incident. And as someone that would have been, if that was you involved in that incident, I can only imagine how frustrating it would be for Teo and John right now. Thank God that isn't you in your case.
Yeah, I know there was a period of time when it was HTS involved in some controversy every week, but we're glad we're away from that time. And it was nice to watch these boys duke it. It was a great race up until that point, up until that little incident right at the end there. They were battling hard but battling clean, and I just hot heads got the better of got the better of them.
Indeed it did. Now, I think that'll do us with you. You've well and truly stayed longer than you had to tonight, and we appreciate that. Thanks for your insights, and looking forward to seeing how... now, Adam Hayne just pointing out as well that he's out for a few weeks due to an operation. He'll be cheering the boys on from the sidelines, though, and pointing to cheer on as well. But yeah, 90, go well. Enjoy Bathurst. I'm a little bit jealous I can't be there. It can't be in 3 places at once, though. And looking forward to seeing you on Monday night for round 5 of GT3. That will be good fun. And of course, next week, Brands Hatch as well. Hopefully, some luck coming your way at some point in the Porsche.
Yeah, we'll get back sometime Monday and crank some laps out. I'm not even sure what track we're at, but we'll get into that, and then we'll look forward to some sprint racing, more Mike Kettle of Fish at Brands Hatch on Thursday.
Indeed. All right, mate. Go well.
Catch ya.
Oh boy, I can't even remember if there was anything else I was going to ask the great man, actually, Daniel Correa, because it kind of got lost in transit with everything else that was happening there. Because I said it'd be good. I mean, the entree for Formula V, or the main course that we normally refer to as Formula V on Thursday night, with Porsches being the dessert, that delivered around the Red Bull Ring. We had 2 very appropriate circuits, very fitting circuits for the 2 categories tonight. Neither one of them disappointed. And even though, as we said partway during the call, I stood by my word, I said it might be a little bit processional, a little bit follow the leader Mickey Mouse type stuff now, but watch it fire up after that second round of pit stops. I don't think any of us saw that one coming, though.
No, definitely not. Again, we were lulled into a false sense of security because Matt Dench, of course, doing Matt Dench things, saving up that fuel, getting a 24. He won by 24 seconds?
Yep.
The end of it?
24 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, it was 21. It was 21 before the contact with Serrano Amaro.
Correct.
Yeah.
He's way ahead, and we just, got lulled into that. Okay, well, Matt's going to take this win. Well deserved. We'll see what happens between John and Teo. But then, man, once it got to that final lap, boy, did the gloves come off. And unfortunate for those two, it ended up with both of them going off the track. But if you're Todd Hayne, you are punching air right now.
Yep, and this is the thing too. When it comes to Monday night and Thursday night motorsport and the primetime viewing or offering that is GT3 on a Monday night and Porsches on a Thursday night, it is Matt Dench's world, and we are merely visitors that don't pay rent. That is exactly, that is gospel after all these years. There's a second big biblical reference of the night. That is well-known, documented truth and fact. He's here having a chat with us now, and Jonathan Hooper, the winner of the AM split as well, or the open split as it's known, on a Thursday night. Gentlemen, welcome. Denchi, I'll start with you. Yet again, a cut above, and the fact that you can go out there and be 0.6 faster than the competition just proves that there's a long way to go in terms of reeling you back in. But you ran to a number tonight, you split your pit stops down the middle, they were both 11 seconds apiece. That was really solid driving from you, and really good strategy play as well, mate. Congratulations, a dominant win, 24 seconds in the end, and by gee, didn't that bloody well balloon out after that second round of stops?
Yeah, after the first round of stops, we just kind of put the pedal to the metal and see how fast we can get. We're trying to dip into the 206s, but we couldn't quite make it there tonight.
Not quite, but 207.1's nothing to turn your nose up at. Considering that you were 0.6 of a second ahead of the field, I don't think there was another time there that got close to... No, you were the only one sub 207.5 from what I can see here on my timing screen. Just extraordinary pace from you. Now, you mentioned that it was just open slather, full throttle, pedal to the metal. You waited about 6 or 7 laps to engage that policy, though, and that strategy, because you would happily allowed poor old Benny Faulkner couldn't take a trick. Firstly, he gets to drag you along for the ride, and then he has an internet dropout that plummets him right down to 18th in the finishing order. But it looked very strategic on your part to follow him for a little bit, save a little bit of juice, and then got the rest of the talking from there.
Yeah, we're going too wide into turn one at the start there. I wasn't super keen on that, so we just filed in and I just followed along and pushed him down the straight to see if we could break a gap. And then I thought we'll jump in front and see if he can stay with us. And he sat with us there for quite a while, and then he just kind of vanished. So I wasn't too sure what happened with him, but it was really good pace from Ben. So it'll be good to see what happens in the next few rounds.
Indeed. I was going to say, there are signs that we could see you put under a little bit of pressure here and there throughout the course of the season, but by the half-hour mark, as you say, had a 4-second lead. That ballooned out through that second stint, and then ballooned out again in the third. Strategically, when you talk about not wanting to be too wide going into turn one, you'd be very happy that you weren't embroiled in the Teo Serrano-John Merritt battle that you'll no doubt go and have a look at after we're done here.
Yeah, it sounded pretty spicy on that last lap, so I jumped on the replay and had a little sneak peek. It was pretty good.
Oh, indeed it was. One of the best battles we've seen. Unfortunately, it didn't result in happily ever after, but it certainly did for Todd Hayne, though, who's here alongside us in just a moment. Denchi, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's 60 minutes, if it's super sprint, if it's 90 minutes. I mean, we know how you rock and roll now, mate. Does it ever get boring?
I mean, not really. You just start chasing those purple laps every other lap, so yeah, it keeps you on your toes.
It got spicy at a point there. I was halfway through telling everybody, updating everybody on how my week went on the Gold Coast, and I didn't get to finish that, so I'll come back and finish that story a little bit later on. But you're right. After a while where you know it's about you being the target and everybody trying to play catch-up, you've got to find ways in which to keep yourself motivated, keep yourself interested, Denchi, and for you, that is those purple sectors.
Yeah, or like if you got a gap, then you're just trying to find the limit of the car at all of the spots around the track. So yeah, you just got to keep trying to improve.
Indeed. Now next week, Brands Hatch, similar to Alton Park, we know that there are some circuits that are really good for this type of racing. I'm not sure Brands Hatch fits the description of the bill, but it's certainly a narrower racetrack than Road America, certainly shorter. There aren't too many circuits that we visit that are longer than Road America, as you know. Spa certainly is, but only by a couple of 100 metres. But then, obviously, also the invert, the top 10, you're going to have to keep your wits about you next week. Those opportunities those overtaking opportunities don't come by very easily. Unlike tonight, where, as you see the calendar there, Brands Hatch, Iron Park, Motorland, Aragon, and Zandvoort, Spa, and Interlagos. I mean, there are some really good circuits on that schedule. But in saying that, tonight we talked about the gloves will come off late in the piece because you've got those overtaking opportunities freely available to you all around this racetrack. Next week, completely opposite. So if you want to move your way forward in that invert race, that second race, the gloves are going to have to be off and the elbows are going to have to be out very early, and you're going to have to really commit to those overtaking opportunities if they present themselves.
Yeah, Brands Hatch, fantastic track. Quite difficult to pass on, so it's going to be really spicy for a sprint round. That's going to be an absolute blast.
I'm actually... we've had you in here quite a few times over the last few years, Denchi. I don't know if I've ever heard you refer to a racetrack as fantastic.
Brands Hatch is like my number one favourite track, mate. It's fantastic. Ooh. It's so good.
I always worry a little bit about how the confidence of the competition around you, Denchi, must sink when they come in and hear you say that you really love a particular racetrack, because if you really love this and you don't love other tracks that you've towed them up on in the past, it sends a message to be concerned and be very wary of what Dench might be able to do next week. Looking beyond that, though, it hasn't been a season without incident. I haven't been here for the last couple of weeks. Just talk us through round two, because that looks as though that didn't exactly go to plan.
Round two, eh?
Silverstone. Legacy,
yep,
and sixth place.
Yeah, Silverstone's not one of my favourite tracks, especially Legacy. It's just I don't know. I guess like there's a section of this Legacy track where you can quite literally cut the corner and not get a penalty for it. So Yeah, I don't like taking that line, so we just, like me and Corey just took the normal line and we just burned up our tyres and couldn't really do too much, and he messed up pit entry, and then I followed him in and messed up and was facing the wrong way at the entry there, so yeah, it was not a good night.
Benny Pedersen's right there with you, mate. No brake markers in Legacy, so therefore Silverstone sucks. Very nicely done. Denchi, it would be remiss of me not to ask you about your thoughts on the big news from iRacing this week, that after what seems like an eternity of build-up and tease, rain is on the way.
Yeah, I woke up to a message, notification on the phone that said rain was coming, and I just saw a big grin on my face. I'm ready.
Oh yeah, and bring it on. It's somewhat, I mean, we've been talking about it throughout the course tonight. It reinvents the wheel in some way, doesn't it? Because there are going to be guys that are going to thrive here more than they do in the dry. There are going to be guys that are under the pump a little bit more than they are in the dry. And then there are those that are going to really... It's not going to matter whether it's wet, dry, indifferent. It's just going to be their neutral zone. We're not going to see too much of a variance in their performance or their results. We suspect you'll be one of those. But everyone goes back to the drawing board, because this is one of the biggest significant things thrown at you guys in the history of iRacing.
Yeah, just... like driving in the rain is going to be so much different. You can't take your normal lines. You're going to have to be searching and always exploring for that better exit line. So yeah, it's going to be definitely throwing a spanner in the works, and it'll probably take quite a lot of us quite a bit of time to get our heads around.
It just means that instead of having some free time to walk away from the rig, or going and finding some league to race in because you got nothing on a particular night, I dare say there'll be a few practice servers flowing freely, so that everybody can rack up the extra miles, and it's going to be interesting to see exactly how much time and effort needs to be put into this.
Yeah, I guess, like, depending on the car, I guess GT3 is probably... It'll be a bit easier, a bit more forgiving driving in the rain, but something like this Porsche Cup car is just going to be an extreme handful. Like, it's pretty hectic to drive now. Could only imagine when it's heavy rain and puddles everywhere. It's going to be absolute chaos.
Rain is a novelty. If you want realism, introduce the safety car in endurance races. Spoken from Parry Anastakis' keyboard by the man who introduced the safety car into last year's Sydney 300, unfortunately by way of mechanical failure. But yes, he's done his fair share of 300s, and very few of them have not featured that car being deployed at some point. Mario Kart with a license. Excellent. I love it. We're all excited about it, Denchi. We can't wait. And of course, tracks and cars and everything else that'll be dropped will be circumstantial or superficial, really, because everyone's been waiting for this one. This is the Christmas come early sort of treat that iRacing is going to be giving everybody around Easter, and we're looking forward to it. Mate, I'm not going to hold you up any longer. Well done tonight. Congratulations. Another astonishing win with a huge margin in your favour, and looking forward to Brands Hatch already.
Yeah, mate, we'll catch everyone next week.
And let's not forget before that as well, Monday night, WeatherTech Laguna Seca as well. So, Sprint racing. WeatherTech Laguna Seca is for the supercars. It's Okayama, of course, for the GT3s. And Okayama for 60 minutes. And sorry, Parry, I didn't mean to throw you under the bus there, mate, but it was the first thing that came to mind. Of course, but it illustrated the point. And of course, sprint racing next Thursday night. So a point of variance there with regards to GT3 and Porsches as far as the prime time component of the broadcast is concerned next week. Todd Hayne coming to you in a moment. Want to go to Jonathan Hooper and say well done on the win in the open split, mate. Solid performance, clean run, and 5.5 seconds up the road from Adam Lavis, who was the next best in the split, mate. So a good night out.
Yeah, it was the Porsche. I've always struggled with the Porsche, and I don't know, it was tonight, it just sort of all came together. So it was, the car felt really good and the track felt really good. So it was, yeah, it was great to see, and yeah, I haven't concentrated so hard for an hour. It was getting pretty touchy towards the end, but no, it was good. I was really pleased that I held it together. So,
and that's the other thing as well. Like for people like Denchi, they're well trained in this caper. An hour's a breeze for them. But this circuit, I mean, as open slather it is full throttle. It's so fraught with danger because there's grass waiting to the left and right. There's concrete walls, arm code barriers. There's gravel traps. There's so many things if you get it ever so slightly wrong. So I don't think there's too many people that appreciate exactly how switched on you blokes have got to be for the whole hour. You can't afford to get comfortable or complacent here.
No, not at all. And you know, once we sort of got through that second pit stop and then it was sort of home straight, then yeah, that's when it sort of starts to really test you a bit. And obviously, you know, we work all day as well, so but it's really good fun and I really enjoy it. And I'd like to hopefully get a bit better with the Porsche over the next sort of few weeks and feel a bit more comfortable in the car and try and sort of take it to the next level. So yeah.
You just don't want to get too comfortable, Jonathan. You don't want to be bumped up to the elite split by Adam Lavis, who you've got the wood on at the moment in the open splits.
No, not at all.
That would be interesting though.
Yeah, no, just want to just taking it slow with the Porsche and you know, just trying to get a little bit better sort of each time. So that's all we can really do. And yeah, my goal really is just to fucking complete the race, and then that's good, and try and keep it smooth. So.
All right, very nicely done. Next week, Brands Hatch, your initial thoughts on that?
I do like Brands Hatch. Love it in the GT3. Don't know how we'll go in the Porsche, but in the Cup car, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, if I can just sort of keep it together and stay smooth and get it done, I'll be wrapped with that. Absolutely wrapped with that.
Excellent, mate. Well done. What other cars are you having a steer of at the moment across the club platforms?
Did a little bit with Formula V, but mainly do GT3 on Monday, so pro split.
Very nice, and looking forward to seeing you back there on Monday night as well. Okayama's the next stop. That'll be good.
Yeah, looking forward to that. It's quite fun, quite a fun track. The BMW, using the BMW this season, so it's one of those cars that you're sort of thankful you're in when you're 30 laps down, and it's quite stable on the road as opposed to the Porsche which we used last year. So yeah, no, looking forward to it, 100%.
All right, mate, very nicely done. A little bit of a later finish to the race tonight with the extra time on the clock, and a little bit later finish to the broadcast as well. Have a good weekend, and look forward to seeing you on the grid on Monday.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
And well done on the win in the open class tonight as well. Okay, Todd Hayne. Oh, wow. Go and buy yourself a lotto ticket. That was an incredible finish. I mean, Nighty obviously spent much of the night in the commentary box with us after pulling up stumps a little bit early in the piece. You just bided your time, waited for your moment, minded your own business, started third, finished second, but not without some extraordinary drama developing ahead of you. And I said it in the call, I'm not terribly sure that Teo and John were aware of how closely in proximity you were to them, or otherwise they might have, you know, just tapered off a little bit and worried about second and third rather than third and fourth.
Yeah, no, it was a bit of a tough race. It sort of started off first season in the car, so I'm still trying to work it all out. Started off, I have a bit of dramas with darts at the moment, so I've got to get them sorted out. Once we got that sorted out, it was pretty smooth sailing. Everyone was saving tyres, saving fuel for a little bit too long, or a little bit longer than I think everyone needed to. And then, yeah, I made a bit of a mistake, let all the boys go, and thought I'll just bite my time here, see what happens. Unfortunately for Teo and Merritt, if someone defends as hard as Teo does, well, there's going to be issues had. So I sort of thought, well, if I just sit back here, I reckon I'll probably be in for a shot.
Indeed, and it was very well done, mate. I mean, a few extra championship points. It ends a mixed bag sort of night for the team on a high note. You get a podium. And it just boosts the morale and the confidence a little bit ahead of Brands Hatch next week. I mean, you've got to go into those races with an open mind. You've got to have two things in mind: how you play your racecraft and how you play your tactics, and that worked in your favour in the end, albeit in ways that we didn't see coming, of course.
Yeah, it worked out tonight. It doesn't always work out like that, but
No.
sometimes you get a win.
All right, mate, what's next for you, please?
Next for me, I'll just sit around and work for the rest of the week now and jump back into the Porsches for next week and see how we go at Brands Hatch. Brands Hatch have got a love-hate relationship, so we'll see how we
You're
go.
not the first one to say that tonight.
It's a good track. I love doing laps around there, but I've had some bad luck around there, but we'll change that next week, hopefully.
Indeed, mate. Very nicely done from you tonight, and well done. Go and buy either Teo or John, or maybe both, a beer as a thank you. I dare say Race Control are probably still sorting through the tape on that one as we sign off here. Well done. Great result for the team, and looking forward to seeing what you bring to the table for the rest of the championship, mate. Go well.
Cheers, boys.
That was incredible, Daniel Correa-Sar. I'm not sure I've even got my breath back yet from all of that. We had last lap thrillers left, right and centre tonight, and as Chapo quite rightly pointed out at the end of the third Formula V race, it was only the third Formula V race where that last lap thriller was in the fight for the win.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a contrast from last week for the Formula Vs, where every single race was a last lap thriller. Adam Proctor, of course, being the one to deliver all that. And I believe I can actually show exactly that. I don't think we brought it up earlier in the broadcast, but I believe I can show it up here. So if you have a look at your screen, ladies and gentlemen, that was the finish that everybody was talking about last week. And if you have a look at that white line there, you can see that one John Merritt has his nose on it, and one Adam Proctor does not, and there is literally maybe 3 inches in that.
Indeed. If that.
If
3 millimetres more like it.
If
just extraordinary. We love our Formula V racing. Tonight proved why, but we don't always love our Porsche racing, but when it's the right car track combo like it was tonight, we leave fulfilled. We leave very happy with what we've seen. There'll be a few people with a... actually, I'm just having a look on Discord at the moment. Yep, I was right. That discussion is ongoing between John Merritt and Teo Serrano at the moment. So, as a result of that, Adam Lavis is already knocked off for the night. We won't bother updating championship points or anything like that at this point. I don't think there's going to be any reason to do so, because it'll be a case of... once we know what the outcome of all of that is, not that you can take second away from Todd Hayne, of course, and then we can work out what's going to happen with the point standings and everything else based on the outcomes of tonight. So with that in mind, we'll update you on the championship standings this time next week, which by then, hopefully, they'll have sorted that out. It could be a long night. Let's say thank you to all the great people that bring us all the action across the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club each and every week here. We couldn't do it without these people. It simply would not be possible. So a big thanks to the great team at Waste Options and Spreyton Siders, and Player One Sim Gear, Lobesy Racing, M-Wave Australia, and Flash Graphics. As I say, Adam Lavis is knocked off for the night. Both Formula V and Porsche Cup Championship standings to be updated next week. Simply no point when you're still waiting for the report from Race Control, because that only makes more work for Adam. It's important to note to everybody that Adam has the matrix. He does all that off his own bat, off the cuff, on the fly, and then has to worry about adjustments because of Race Control sending through their reports with the penalties that need to be applied and whatnot. So the less time he has to spend mucking around with that, the better. And all credit to him. Let's have a look at what's coming your way on the platforms of the GSRC. Non-broadcast the next 3 nights. Super Formula from Silverstone, 3-race format there. Nick Fodiatis was updating us on that earlier in the week as to why they've moved to 3 races. Silverstone, the venue. Saturday Night Mountain Men, as Joe said earlier, Honda Performance vehicles from Mount Panorama, 32 laps, 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time. That's just a warm-up, really, to Sunday's marathon that we'll all be watching. And then after that, if you want to go and have a steer in the virtual world, the circuit is TBA, but it's V8's past and present, the 2014 Supercar, the Oval Series, Pete Matson has more details for any of the club members that want it. V8 ovals, 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time. That's enough time to go and have a nap after the 12-hour and then get back into the rig. And a to-be-confirmed number of laps based on which circuit it is. Monday night, we're back with you, hopefully not out of breath like we are at the moment, for the GT3 series from Okayama, preceded by the Waste Options GT3, preceded by Play 1 Sim Gear Supercars. Super 2 this week from Laguna Seca, and that's 25 minutes. The race from Okayama for GT3 is an hour long, and that's Monday night, 7:40, I should say. 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time, ahead of a 7:50 race start. Tuesday night, I'm a little bit tired too, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just struggling a little bit at the end here. Toyota 86s, Gazoo Racing 86s, TBA the venue, but it'll be 3-race format, 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. Same format as Formula V in terms of the length of races 1 and 2 and the invert factor thereof, or they're within, and then 25 minutes for race 3.
I'll just quickly interject. Ben did update this as we were broadcasting tonight, so the up-and-comers will be the GR86 at Phillip Island.
Ooh, well worth the price of admission indeed. But the cars are good, but that circuit produces good racing no matter what we take there too. It's followed by the GT1 Civil War Snetter than 300. Race start 9:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 35 minutes the length of said race as well. Then the 86 is back it up Wednesday night from Virginia International, 2-race format there, 15 minutes and 25 minutes respectively. Top 10 invert for that second race, of course. On to Hockenheim for a 40-minute sprint in the the GT4 Australia Challenge. That's from 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Hockenheim the venue for them. Round 5, of course, of all these championships starting next Monday. So by the end of our broadcast next Thursday night, we'll be at the halfway point of the season. And what a way to get us there. Long Beach first up for Formula V. Brands Hatch for the Porsches. So very different racetracks for both categories to what we saw tonight. Formula V will be great because it's great anywhere. We'll wait with curiosity to see exactly the sort of product that Porsches around Brands Hatch dishes up. Merchandise store, either merch.tgsrci.com or gsrcmerch.myshopify.com will take you there. And even though it's too late for Valentine's Day, ladies and gentlemen, it's not too late for things like upcoming birthdays, Christmas presents, engagement parties, Easter, anything, right? Never a bad time to sink your teeth into some of the merch available within the stores, the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. And as far as our endurance offering is concerned this season, it's not getting underway until March, but there'll be 11 events across the course of 9 months. Scrub Bathurst out, it's gone.
Right.
Watkins Glen will be where the season starts, and that's coming up on Sunday the 10th of March. And then the week after Easter, they go to Suzuka. And then on Mother's Day, we go to Laguna Seca. See, Mother's Day, Father's Day, they're the other two. Not too late to, or not too early to start shopping for those. Laguna Seca will be the venue. Then on to Le Mans, Motorsport, Spa, Fuji, Mugello, Launchlife for Red Bull Ring, and Road America. Good stuff. Daniel Carrier, final thoughts from you?
Oh, look, I'm about as tired as you, I think, Zach. Final thoughts from me. I just can't wait for next week. This Porsche Cup has been heating up race after race, and from what we just saw on that last lap, I'm sure that maybe some feelings will get reserved, and maybe there'll be some more
maybe you get square
racing.
Coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Maybe. And so with Formula V, look, it always delivers, as you said. So I'm sure when we go to the concrete canyon that is Long Beach, that the Formula Vs will deliver up and above what we normally expect. But it's the Porsches from Brands Hatch. As we said earlier in the broadcast, it is not a track that is conducive to overtaking. That doesn't mean overtaking can't be done. So you thought these guys had to fight hard tonight to get some of these moves done? Expect it to be more so when we hit that famous British circuit. So for me, I am just excited. I'm always excited. I know I say that and I sound like a broken record, but I am. I am excited for Thursday night motorsport. And yeah, Thursday next week can't come quick enough.
I'm already excited only because, well, after missing the last couple of Thursday nights, it was nice to be back in the chair. It was nice to get back into the swing of things. Nice to get back into rhythm and routine. And after tonight, how could you not already be looking forward to next week? They certainly whet the appetite for so much more. And thankfully, there's still 6 weeks of this to come before we take 2 weeks off over Easter. Quickly, I didn't get to finish the point earlier. Very nice to be out of office earlier in the week to go down to the Gold Coast and spend some quality family time with my niece and sister. We went to the theme parks yesterday, and all I'm going to say on a parting note is that Valentine's Day at Wet n Wild is probably the last place and the first place at the same time for very obvious reasons you want to be as a single bloke. David Kirby asking if I was stirring up Mr. Anastakis. Yes, I was momentarily, but he led me right into it by saying that we need to have safety cars in endurance racing, in Porsche racing, just like they do in the real world. And he triggered one at the Sydney 300 last year. That was the context of the reason in which I was able to get him going, David Kirby. No hard feelings. As knows, I'm a big fan of the veteran of the 300 caper. So yeah, no, it was very nice to be able to switch off and leave the office and go and have some fun down there. I don't get to do the family thing as often as I used to, by virtue of the fact that I'm living up here and they're usually 8 hours away. So as soon as they got anywhere near the backyard, and I'm in Ipswich about an hour from the Gold Coast, it was nice to be able to go down there. And even Harper gets it. She's like, geez, the sun goes down early here, Uncle Zach. And I then tried to explain exactly why that was to the poor innocent 8-year-old that she is. So that was fun. But yes, no, it was a lovely week, and we've got back in. Well, it felt weird coming back to work tonight because I got asked to stay down there a little bit longer, and I was like, no, I can't. And now I completely justified the decision to not extend leave and go down there for the whole week with them because that was some of the best racing we've seen all year tonight, right across the board. Dench was clinical. John Merritt got the job done in Formula V for Spreyton Cider. That's Thursday night motorsport done and dusted on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. We sincerely hope that you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. How could you not? That had just a little bit of everything except rain, but that's on the way. Have a great weekend, everybody. Don't forget NASCAR Daytona 500 Jules tomorrow morning on Fox Sports. The 500 itself on Monday morning. The Xfinity Series race, Van Gisbergen's Xfinity debut Sunday morning. Of course, about this 12-hour across the course of the weekend across Fox and the screens of 7. Just check your local guides depending upon your market if you are watching through 7, because there are some channel changes throughout of the day to 7 and 7 too, and that's all got to do with the South Africa-Australia Women's Cricket Test match, which may even be done by that point based on what we've seen today. So that's it from us. We're done. It's been good fun, and we look forward to doing it all again Monday night when Week 5 of Term 1 for 2024 gets underway. And on behalf of Daniel Correa-Sar and the rest of the broadcast commentary and production team here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, I'm Zach Caven. Thanks for coming along for the ride. If you didn't enjoy that, go and check your pulse. We'll see you Monday night, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.